Hi guys, welcome back to a Protein Bros podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we have a really great episode in store for you. It's with Dylan Schoening, also known as Crown City Trainer. Dylan has over 14 years of industry experience. He has started personal training departments from the ground up at gyms. He's got experience with private gyms as well as corporate gyms. He's a wealth of knowledge and someone who has an intense perspective on a lot of things. And so I really appreciate it if you tuned in and let us know what you think about it in the comments. As always, if you enjoy what you're listening to, please let us know in the comments.
But anyway, I used to go on his radio show and he'd have grown people call in and ask me Star Wars questions because I was a Star Wars nut to give away tickets to the movies. Yeah. This reminds me of that. So it's been a while, but I'm familiar with this.
Nice. Speaking of, you don't have to eat it now. All right. Now, speaking of Star Wars, did you get a ticket to that amazing Disney park? You know what I'm talking about?
No, the Galaxy.
There's
thing?
a new like spaceship you can, and it's like $5,000 apparently. It's
if we're talking about this, no. Mostly because my kids are too young, but in reality, I haven't heard good things.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Are you going?
I don't know the feedback. No, I'm not a Star Wars nut, but I do have a friend that is, and they moved their reservation around to where like they do get to go to it before it's like done for. But I didn't know it was a disappointment.
I have not been, so that's just speaking off of what some news articles said. It could have just been one person responding to a tweet because that's enough
nice
to make
to get
it
on the TripAdvisor. Probably there's probably some great feedback, at least negative or positive, on there.
Either way, when my kids are of age, which to me would be like above 5,
sure,
we're going to be Disney World frequents. Like I am so excited to take my daughter to see meet like Indiana Jones and every princess that exists.
Sure. Dude, me too.
Yeah.
As soon as you have kids, you're like, fuck, dude, I want to go to Disneyland. You go to Disney World, and like I've never had that like feeling in my life where I'm like, man, I can't wait to go to Disney World. No. And then you have kids, you're like, dude, this is gonna be awesome.
So this is a really good question.
I'm gonna be like wearing fucking Mickey Mouse ears around and shit.
Yeah. Everything. So I might dress up.
I mean, dude, I guess that is the joy because we're all at that age. I have a 3.5-year-old that I look after as well, and so we're like, okay, we're having the conversation now. Is what is the appropriate age? You said above 5. Kyle, you've got 3.
Bro, I'm waiting.
What's the number?
Until Sully can like enjoy it.
Waiting for Sully to have a memory of it.
Yeah.
Before, but
is that the youngest or the oldest?
The youngest.
But to be fair, with let's say what's that number to you?
3.
3?
Oh wow. Okay,
that's pretty. So he's not gonna have any memories of that.
What are you talking about? Yeah, he will.
What's your favorite memory from when you were 3, Kyle?
I broke my arm when I was 2.5.
Wow, so you remember stuff like that. Do you have any? That's your favorite memory?
It was the first memory where I was like, holy shit, that was really painful. I just remember I slept through the night. My dad made me go to sleep. Yeah, you sleep it off. You'll be fine. And I had an actual broken arm, and I remember crying the entire night.
Do you? So we've talked about this before. Like I'm known to have a crazy memory compared to other people.
Yeah, I don't have. I just don't care about things. They will leave my brain so fast. And Jeff will be like, dude, he can recall just the most random stuff.
But you're in so like my first memory, I think that I can really like recall vividly, right? Where it's like not just a glimpse, but like how the day went. Was my 4th birthday. Waking up on my 4th birthday, I remember like vividly. But like you're saying that you remember the arm breaking. Do you remember the pain?
Yeah, I was running around a table and I remember the pain. Yep.
That's crazy. So so we're trying to figure out the perfect age to bring Addie.
What's the next memory you remember after breaking your arm?
That's a good one.
I remember falling in my pool when I was like 3.
All shitty memories. Sorry.
I was pulling my tugboat around the pool, and my mom specifically said, "Don't do that before church." I was wearing church clothes, and I fell in the pool. And my dad grabbed me, pulled me out of the pool wearing all my church clothes, and my dad was pissed. So yeah, it might have something to do with like. Traumatic
incidents. I just choose to forget everything.
Unresolved trauma.
But also, I mean, what are your opinions on this? Because it's like, by then, my oldest will be 7.5. And so it's like, I don't know when the perfect time is to go. But I haven't looked into the cost, but I'm guessing it's an expensive endeavor to go.
Truly, yeah.
I don't know how much, I don't know how many times we'll go. I don't know. Maybe we go multiple times. I don't know how much it costs.
I went at 5 and I went at 8. So I can tell you like.
I thought you were about to say you went 5 times. I'm like, you little spoiled shit.
I probably went 10.
You went 10?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
My dad was a radio DJ.
Yeah.
So we would get.
Lots of contests?
Lots of like free tickets because they would give away like a free trip to Disneyland, and he worked all over the country.
That's awesome.
And there would always be like a chaperone ticket and stay. So we'd get these $10,000 trips to Disney World or Disneyland probably once a year.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I was a spoiled little brat just based off of that.
Tons of fun memories
so
though,
much
that
great.
you get to.
Great.
Yeah.
It was just me and him, you know.
I mean, truly, Disney is a magical place. Like we can't deny that. Like it's incredible. I mean, the company does an amazing job at creating these unbelievable experiences that stick with people for the rest of their lives, and then they get to recreate it with their kids, which is awesome, right? And so that's what we're getting into right now. But the point we were talking about is like the age at which you will remember it and it'll be a cherished memory. I don't know if I would at 3. All I remember from my 5-year-old trip that like really was vivid for me was that I was waiting in line to get autographs. So I had like a little autograph book that my parents bought me to like go around and see all the characters and have them sign shit. And the one that I didn't like, I couldn't believe that I actually cared enough about was Captain Hook. And
oh yeah, no, I feel that.
That
Captain Hook's a must.
I'm in line to get an autograph from Captain Hook. And one of
that's also prime Hook, the movie.
Yeah,
is out.
At that era. Yeah, absolutely.
Which
Robin
was
Williams,
a classic movie,
killing it. Rufio, all-time fave.
Rufio.
And so I go up, and I'm like, I'll never forget. I was like the next person to go to get my autograph, and like one of the Disney Imagineers like walked up to the Captain Hook costume guy and was just like, "You gotta go," and he was just like, double hand wave, "See ya," and I was just like holding there my book, like, but and like. I really felt sorry for myself in that moment. And like, that was like my honest to God, that's my memory from when I was 5 there.
And you still went on to make something of yourself.
Yeah. That's
like, cause that would have been it for me. I don't know how I would have like it would have been
it's over
game over for
point.
me. I'd be like, I'm not going to college.
I didn't feel like I was worthy of shit after that.
Yeah,
my complex stuck with me forever. That's really the basis of it. Most people think it's like their parents. For me, it was Captain Hook.
At least you didn't have to live with him every day. So I think that's all right. Like,
I don't have that autograph book anymore. I wish I did, but yeah, I went again at 8 and I have like all the memories. So I was just going to say, I'm like, man, do we bring Addie like in the next year or two? Or do we wait until it's like we have other kids maybe? Or, do we wait till she's like 6, 7? So she like
right
really
now,
remembers
Clara
it all?
being 5, she's in like like if I took Clara to Disney World right now, she would love it. She would eat it up.
I wonder if you lose a little bit of the magic though by like 8 or 9.
I don't know. You might actually.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're in full Santa is real. You're in full like these worlds are real. Like that's really that princess has their own life and you believe it. Like when you're at 5, I feel like that's got to be like the magic year.
If it was just Nora, I would take her right now.
Right.
At 3.5 for sure. No question. We wouldn't be able to do all the rides. It'd be more about the experience of seeing the princesses and oh my gosh, all this stuff. She'd be shy. She'd be weird and all, but I would try now.
Yeah.
Especially because I could take like one grandparent and still, me and Ashley could get out and do something or I don't know. It's just one is so easy.
Yeah. Dude, I was about to say, so
you guys can hate on me all you want. I'm one every other week.
We're going to Florida in 2 weeks and me and my wife just recently ruled Sully out of going. So we're going to leave my son, who's 1.5, home because he's cutting 6 teeth. And we were like, we've been going back and forth on like, you don't want to leave one kid and, with his Grammy, while we go on vacation, but he is so miserable all the time. And I'm like, just like what you were saying, he's going to have zero memory of this, zero, all it's going to be is just miserable for my other 2 kids because I'm not going to be able to spend time with my other 2 kids because as soon as I put him in the sand, he's going to cry. As soon as he's out hot, hot,
any kind of discomfort, it's over.
Well, it's also the difference between taking a vacation with the kids and just taking care of your kids in an exotic location. Which is not like I ain't trying to do that. It's whenever I see, I don't think airlines should let kids under 5 on them. So we don't have to argue with our grandparents and things like that. It's like, well, I wish we could come, but airlines don't like kids under 5 on there. So I guess you're just going to have to come and see us.
Oh, dude, I just went to Vegas over the weekend and on my way home, I legitimately, like we're talking just pure amateur hour, no headphones, no nothing, just raw dogging on the airplane with nothing. And the 3-hour flight had a newborn directly behind me, first seat behind me, just screeching at the top of their lungs. And I was just like, I deserve this.
This is what happens. This is what I get.
I had noise canceling headphones. Didn't bring
almost every time on a plane. The problem is the kids, their ears are popping. They don't
for like the first time in their
pop
lives.
them.
Yeah.
Which is why it should just be a rule.
Yeah.
Like there's no, we'll get through. Like we got to be able to fly with our kids too. Like we got to be able to go places with our kids. Like if it was a rule, I wouldn't have to go through that conversation. Like, well, other parents do it.
Did you see that? I Think You Should Leave sketch comedy show.
I love that show.
Yeah,
I love that show. I was watching it last night.
Did you watch the new season?
I've only watched 3 episodes.
All of them are phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I already binged it all. It's an hour and a half to watch the whole season. But
I was afraid that I was going to get interrupted because I was laughing so hard. And usually that's when Ashley will come down the stairs and be like, what are you watching? And then I got to turn it off because if I keep watching with her, she'll know what my sense of humor actually is.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And then she'll just be like, you're fucking weird.
Your wife's probably like my wife, where she's like, this isn't funny. This is dumb.
Yep. And I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because
it is definitely dumb and it's funny.
Oh, the driving crooner.
Oh yeah,
I was dying.
Yeah, that was incredible. Like it's gonna take off. It's gonna be a hit. Like people hate this. They want to kill me for it, and like it really happened. I mean, I'd lost it. It was like the safari hat with the flaps of the last season. That was. Anyways, there was
Jeff showed me that one.
Yeah. He's like, dude.
I literally couldn't stop laughing at that one. I didn't want to like it because when Jeff likes something too much, I'm like, I don't want to give Jeff the satisfaction of really liking this.
Yeah, and then I'm really trying to cool it on that.
I couldn't stop laughing.
It's that person that like tries to like take ownership of a band that they really like.
No, man, the Grateful Dead are like really awesome.
Like no, like they're really important to me. And you're like, dude, like, am I allowed to like them too? Or
like, yeah, but you're just not going to be like me about it. They're kind of my whole identity now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't do that to them. So the show is funny. You should see the new season.
Why are we talking about
it? Because of the skit.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a skit where a guy like tries to get revenge on a newborn baby 30 years later, and the newborn baby's now 30 on a honeymoon, and he's like on the plane next to him, and he's like, "Remember that time you went on a 10-hour flight to England or whatever?" And he's like, "No, I was a baby." And he was like, "Well, you screamed the entire time, and so now I'm going to make your whole flight miserable."
It's the best show.
Yeah. And the guy's like puts on noise canceling headphones and he's like, okay. And so anyways, that's just a hilarious premise for a show. Now, should we get into fitness? Might as well.
Wow, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Dylan, long time coming on talking to you on this podcast.
I was super excited.
I'm excited to have you here, man, because there's a lot to talk about. I have so many things that I'm interested to ask you about, and it may not be things that you'd expect, but you're all over the spectrum. You know, you started off your career, from my understanding, at what's it called? Don't tell me. It's in Westwood.
Yep.
But it's Woodside.
Yes.
Woodside.
Yes.
And so much history there. I moved to Kansas City. I don't know anybody. I ask people like, where should I live? You know, where should I train? I don't know anybody. I don't have any friends in Kansas City yet. Like, and they're like, dude, you should join Woodside. And I'm like, all right, like, what's it all about? And they're like, well, it's like super expensive. And, I was just told by
you would hear about the pool.
The pool.
Yeah,
I told them about the pool.
Pretty awesome.
I was told by several women that I should go to this pool and that like women there wear high heels.
That's true. It's really awesome.
Have you still not been there?
I still have never been.
I've never been. I don't know if that's still the case. When I first started working there,
like it was like a
14
Vegas
years
party
ago,
pool or something.
It's changed so much. It's an absolutely fantastic facility. I'm fortunate to have spent so much of my career there. The pool is as exceptional as they say it is. It's definitely, they have this adults only area that is by a landslide its selling point. The gym is great. They just did a whole bunch of renovations on it. It's a great environment. It's also, has that pool. I mean, I could say a lot about it because it's such an experience if you're a member, because you're going to see and hear so many things, but it's also like, it's the only experience like this in Kansas City.
So is it like the Jones pool, but nicer?
No, nothing is as great as the Jones pool. It's nicer than the Jones pool.
Do you know the Jones pool?
I don't know of said Jones pool.
Jones pool. So Jones pool is.
I always hope this is going to come up when I talk about Woodside.
I love it. So in like, hey, part of this podcast, Dylan, you can't hold back.
Yeah.
You got to tell us what really went on. So I don't know shit about shit.
Is this the Jones pool?
No.
This is Woodside.
This is Woodside. So Jones pool, Kyle, is literally just the One Life now, the Genesis rooftop pool at downtown, right?
Oh, okay. We've been there.
Yeah.
Or I've been there.
Yeah, I've been there. And so bottom line is that pool used to be called the Jones pool, and it wasn't connected to a gym. It was just the Jones pool.
And it was a day party pool like you would find in Vegas.
It was
exactly like a day party pool. A day party pool. It's kind of wild in Kansas City.
It was a lot more wild back when he's talking about when it's called the Jones pool. So some Springfield ladies that would shop with us would take some time to go up to Kansas City on the weekends specifically to go to the Jones pool.
Wow.
And I was like, part of this is part of me and Kyle's heyday of working every single weekend and not doing anything fun. And so
seeing things on social media and be like, that looks so fun.
Oh man, that looks like a good time. I should probably do that, but I can't because I open
tomorrow.
I really want to advance in my career. So this was part of my like, what a different life I could have led. Right.
I want you to know I did both. I was able to have a career and do my Jones pool time because it closed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, who knows where I would have ended up, because that was Saturday, Sunday, every weekend for probably 2 summers.
May not even be married with kids right now.
No, well, definitely not. Definitely never would have had a solid career. But it was, once again, I like it when it comes up because it's not open anymore. So I get to act like it was this magical place when in all reality it was a disgusting cesspool of people's sweat and who knows what. Like if you got in the pool, like you'd sizzle as you came out. Like it was amazing though, because
you're just in a giant pot of pee probably.
Yeah, well, and other things. Like it's just a gross, like in the moment you're having so much fun and with your friends, it's the summertime and then it closes. So now it's this like nostalgic experience I had in my early 20s. When in all reality, if you were a grown man and you walked in there and you'd be like, actually probably like, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But
I'm not gonna lie. If I walked in right now, I'd probably be like,
I wish it was still open.
And
Jordan Creek.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeah. Woodside has the beautiful pool, but they also, everything in that place is beautiful. The owner is, he is really passionate about having the best amenities, the best appearing facility, and like an exclusive gym experience, and he has taken such good care of that place and brought it back from being something that was in financial trouble way before I was here and turned it into something that is very respectable and very unique for this city. There's nothing else like it.
I watched a virtual tour of the new Woodside, and I genuinely couldn't find information, Dylan, on was this new Woodside, was this something that was, I thought it was like new Woodside South, like they were building out a South one.
So I don't know much about it, but they basically built, the old building used to be like tennis courts and things like that, and then the South building, I cannot believe I ever charged people what I did to train on this tomb of a place. And I'm going to say it like that now because it's gone. And then they've done some great work to it as far as I know. But they turned it into this huge conditioning training center as far as it looks like. And they removed some of the tennis courts, I believe. But
so is this in the same spot?
It's the same building. So it's Woodside. You have one building that sits on the north side of the street and then one that sits on the Woodside south side of the street. So they both, like the south side has all of the group exercise stuff, and now it has this huge conditioning gym is what it looks like to me. I've never been. And then the north side has everything else, your food, your work life place, like places where you can work, like a WeWork type space.
Sure.
And it also has, weights, dumbbells, treadmills, and everything like that. But looks like they completely redid that south space, which was...
It looks state of the art.
Yeah,
it looks overwhelming. Like you're like, I can't believe this exists.
Yeah.
It looks so nice.
It's cool. I hope to go there someday, but...
is it open yet?
I think it's open.
That renovation's done. Because I took like this virtual tour. I want to say I might have sent it to you. I don't know. But I was just like, what is this? Because it was all, at the time, it was all in render form, right? As far as like the video tour that I took. And I was just like, is this coming? When they said south, I was like thinking it was going to be Overland Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But no, it's all the same spot. They're just expanding.
So that was the first place that you started training?
For 11 years.
And did you get a personal training certification prior to them, and that was like your first paid gig? Or was it something where you went into their system and then they got you certified, so on and so forth?
Well, this is one of my favorite stories because a lot of trainers get in the industry and they don't really know what they're going to do or how they're going to become a true professional. And the main reason Woodside will never lose my love and respect isn't the facilities or, the career I had there. It's how well they took care of my education. So first, yes, the NASM was necessary, or at least an entry-level certification was necessary to train there. After about 3 years of me being a pretty terrible trainer, they, the owner and the GM and all, and the upper management all decided that they went to IHRSA, which, if you guys know what that is, International Health and Racket something Association, and it's this big conference. Yeah, it's a big conference that they have every year for our industry, and they met a guy named Everett Aberg there, who created a education program called Orthokinetics. Mm-hmm. And Orthokinetics, what I didn't really, it's a long story, so I'm trying to figure out where to hone in on it. They brought these guys in to consult with us and to teach us what this Orthokinetics program is. And it was 100 hours each module, 200 for the first one, 100 for the second one, where you had this team come in and teach you hands-on how to assess people in terms of like joint relationships, strengths, weaknesses, and just the biomechanics behind how everything is supposed to move correctly, which gave us a much deeper look into how people move correctly and how to improve the things that you might otherwise go missing. So, for example, imagine Tori, I did this with. She came in and we're talking about, I hope you don't mind me talking about Tori.
Yeah. And Tori's our community relations director at Supplement Superstores, in case you guys didn't know.
And we were going over squats, and we were talking about how we have a hard time with her feeling it in her glutes. And she has great ankle flexion. She has great knee flexion, and she has good hip flexion, but she relies on staying vertical. So when you blocked her knees and didn't let her flex the ankle so far, it shifted her back, and she could feel it with just her body weight. So being able to identify those things so that you can figure out, and I'll get into this discussion later, basically this individual moves like this, and that means, well, we say a squat works the glutes. Yeah, but is it working for them in the glutes? Is it working appropriately for them, and why isn't it? And I took off with that. Like, I became a training manager soon thereafter, and so Woodside, I'm going somewhere with this, sorry.
You're golden.
Woodside became a place where I was a trainer. You know, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life or my career, and I was looking for something to latch onto, and then they gave me this orthokinetics thing. And I decided that I wanted to be the best ever at it, and then I got really married to the idea of leading others to have a career in this field, because so few are able to carry it on for decades. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm lucky enough that I know several people, but I know more people that struggled to get ahead or struggled to latch themselves onto this as a true professional career, as opposed to a hobby where they're just seeing if it works out. And matched with an education and a support system, I became very passionate about teaching others to do this and teaching others to grow beyond where I am, which to me is true leadership, is getting people to move beyond where you were. And I can confidently say I did that several times. And that is why Woodside is that'll always be a second, like, that's where my whole career developed.
For sure.
I think, you know, as far as like your the orthokinetics training that you've had, it's really interesting to see how much, in probably the last 5 to 10 years, how much now it's becoming more apparent to people why people squat differently and why people have different leverages depending on, you know, bone lengths or the way that their hips are aligned. And I think for a long time, when I first started getting into powerlifting, I remember the guy that was coaching me was like, dude, your squat, you need to be more narrow in your squat. And I was like, bro, I can't. I was like, and I never understood why. And it wasn't until I understood more on, like, you know, basically what goes into squat mechanics, that I was like, oh, that's why. Mm-hmm. That's why I need to squat wider. That's why I need to squat with my you know, toes turned out. It's not a mobility problem that I have. It's just the way I was born. You know what I'm saying? You can maximize, obviously, with that. But I think that, you know, there's just been so much progress in that, you know, it's been so much progress for people to now understand that there is no, because I mean, you and me are the same age. And I remember when we were coming up, it was like, if you didn't squat a certain way, you had bad form.
Yeah. All the form guys was what social media got started on.
Yeah.
And they're still, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it's like, absolutes are much easier to sell to people than solutions. Yeah. You know, when you go out and you say, this is absolutely the case, this is how you squat. Right. Oh, that's what I need to do. Or this is the one movement, or, you know, you guys don't do this. It's just part of the reason I think this Supplement Superstores does so well is
people try to get us to.
Yes.
As you know.
But you know better. Yeah. You know, and you educate
what's the
them.
best pre-workout?
Like, that depends.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask you 5 questions actually. So
I know more about this.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you look at social media as a driver of, you know, people want answers, and now we have more access to absolute answers, especially because they're attractive. You know, you say, like any men's health magazine over the past several decades, they get your attention by looking at it and it says, do this one move to get your 6-pack. And you're like, oh, that one thing, I never done that before. That must be the thing that I was missing.
For sure.
And it's like, no, you're just missing probably consistency, and you don't know how to move your body. Like, if you're doing a bunch of planks and you're not getting, you know, a better core development, you're probably not doing them right. Like, and so on and so forth. So
black and white's very easy to sell.
Yeah. And and people love that stuff. You know, I mean, And when you look at it, it's everything in fitness requires context, and you have to understand who the people are and what might be holding them back. And you can't do that. And people don't like assessments that much. They're very common in our field, but they just kind of want to work out. That's like, that's just such a shotgun approach to where you're basically asking a trainer, hey, will you do a group class for me, a one-on-one, as opposed to actually personally training me? Because that's taking the city bus to get home, as opposed to going to valet, or as opposed to going to you're driving yourself. Because it's going to take you to where everybody else is going, but only a few people are going to be that close to home. And it's going to drop you all there, and then some are going to look this way, some are going to be this far from it, some are going to be this far from it. But if you want a personal approach, you have to be screened. You have to be spoken to. You have to have someone come in and do research and development on your body, especially for how expensive this shit is. Like, you have guys, heck, around the city here, I was once 125. I know there's guys at some of these local, or not local, these corporate gyms around town that charge up to 155. And if you're going to pay that much, you want someone who's not just being your cheerleader. You want someone who's taking a deep dive look into who you are, what's holding you back, and and what the obstacles are and your objectives and what the opportunities are. You have to be screened to do that. Well, so that's what they taught us to do.
You have to, you want people to move well, and that's the thing that it takes time and effort to do, is to develop movement patterns, that are correct. And it's like, if you don't get assessed, you can't ever get to that point.
I don't know if I'd want to go through one.
Yeah.
It's like, especially, I was just posting about this the other day. We want trainers to, in my perspective, we want them to move well, but I want them to move well according to what is most important to them. So identifying what that is, and then deciding what sort of screening protocol they need to go under. So you're looking at them and you're going, okay, you want to have a great ass. You also want to be able to pick your kids up off the floor without having to grunt and groan. And you want to lose 10 pounds. Well, luckily those should all go together, which is fortunate.
Yeah, those goals align.
Those goals align. So what big butt's the most important to you? Well, first of all, what sort of work do you do so far? Blah, blah, blah. And then when you get to a screening, you have to be able to go, we're doing this because you want this. And I need to know if this is an opportunity or a restriction, because an opportunity, both are opportunities under the, in between the lines, but like, what are you good at and what aren't you good at? Because it's likely the things you aren't good at, that's what's missing. I've known guys that can squat 400 plus pounds who have trouble developing certain parts of their body.
Yeah.
So
people want to gravitate towards what they're good at, and so that's just the common theme in fitness.
Well, it's a common theme
it's just discomfort in general. People don't want to face discomfort. Dude, I have a very difficult time squatting myself just for my own mobility issues, and I could totally work on those things. I choose not to.
Well, it'd take a decent amount of time, and it would drive you further away from what is most important to you. And heck, that might be it's most important for me just to feel a good workout and to feel strong and badass. But you acknowledge, I could do this better. So I'll take that a step further and say, it has to align with the person, because if someone was to take you through a whole assessment, you'd probably get unless you came to them for that, you'd probably get pretty tired of it and just want someone to kick your ass or to make you feel good about yourself.
Sure.
It's like every time that me and my wife have to sit down and talk about finances, I hate doing it. I hate it. And it's my job to organize it and go through it. But then we're looking at a deep dive and it's like, I don't know what that was. I don't know who's Venmoing that. And then blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I need to stop doing that. Okay, well, what do you need me to do instead? Oh, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing. Leave me alone.
Right.
But that's the only way we're going to get better.
Yeah.
Got to face those things head on.
So do you face the facts, man?
when you have a new client, do you give them a little of the ass kicking in the beginning to kind of like build their confidence and get them to open up to you and get them used to you as a trainer before you get into like, hey, by the way, you have some movement pattern things that I think we could work on.
How soon do you start telling them the truth?
Yeah.
Within
do
the
you
first
slow play it is what I'm asking.
I do. Well, usually the first time I meet with someone historically would be unless they are very standoffish, and which you can read after a little bit, I will talk to them for a good hour, to get an idea of who they are, get them to trust. And the trust is more about, I don't care what you look like until you tell me how you want to be.
Right.
So I'm not going to assume how you should look. I'm not going to sit with you and say like, well, your arms should be bigger, or you should be 50 pounds less.
You want to lose 100 pounds,
like,
when in reality,
what
if they want to just gain muscle? You have no idea.
None of my business until they make it my business.
Right.
So I have several different questions that lead into uncovering things that people don't like to talk about. They can go from anything from name your day, name the activities you do right now, circle these things that are your main goals. What are those priorities? And then I go and I number them off so that I can understand what they think is holding them back from getting what they want. It becomes really hard when you tell somebody like, okay, well, on a scale from 1 to 10, how do you rank your body image? A rough question nobody likes to answer, but well, a 5. Okay, what would it take to get you to 8? And then they have to really think about what it is that they want to do. So once I get those answers, then I change their screening to anything from movement to, I have a joint bias analysis that I do on a table. I have a posture analysis that I do as well. But if they're not necessary, then I'm not going to do them. But if I see something on the floor that's like, hey, you're squatting and I can't figure out why your knee and foot keep collapsing, I need to put you on the table real quick and figure out if that's the hip, knee, or ankle. And then I can do that. And what's cool about that is that you can generally then go, okay, we're going to go and we're going to stimulate this movement and muscle, and then we're going to try it again. And usually it goes away.
Yeah, it fixes it right away.
Which is rad. It's just cool to see that in real time. It'd be like if you guys were going to give somebody a pre-workout and they start bench pressing the thing out there right away because they just couldn't happen.
Yeah.
They couldn't help it. It's like, well, that worked right away. I'm going to lift all your employees.
Yeah.
So getting that immediate result, but once again, you have to assess to do that. Anyone can get a good workout in Group X.
Well, I feel like this brings up a really good point, man, because when I first met you, Dylan, it was at the Foundation Westport.
One of the best moments of my life.
Oh, yeah. You said it with such conviction, I almost believed you. But whenever I met you, man, dude, I'll never forget it just because, your passion is awe-inspiring. It's very palpable. You know what I mean? Like, you're very, very passionate about what you do, and it's fun and it's infectious to be around. You don't meet a lot of people like that in fitness personally. I think everybody's usually fighting their own battles in fitness that I meet, and like, they don't usually have like a lot of space to want to pour into others, and you wanted to pour everything into others. And so it was cool to see. And so when we first talked, I like to talk to you about business. That's where I gravitate to. And, we were just going through things, and I'm just like, man, with that level of passion that you have, because I think that you see what is gaining steam in the fitness community, especially on social media, and you're just like, man, it's just trashing. I felt like it was like like you're taking it personal on people thinking like of like you just like I'm doing a terrible job explaining it, but it's like people are more or less cheapening the profession online to such a level that you're just like, I don't even want to be associated with being a personal trainer if this is also a personal trainer showing an example of online. And so with
that gave me chills, it makes me so upset.
Yeah.
My hair is standing on it.
And with it, I can vouch for this. His hair is actually standing up. But you're in a spot now where, this is such a deep parallel because now you are working online, specifically only online. And so with your level of passion for assessment and all of these things, how have you been able to then scale that to online? And are you able truly in your mind to give that level of service that you like to give to your clients?
The level of service, yes. The intricate details of movement, not so much. And that's just how that is. So one of them is swallowing that and going, this is how this is. This is the environment that the space you're going to be working in. Now, how do you stand out and continue to offer a one-on-one scenario? Because it is frustrating. And I think the most frustrating thing about online training in general for me is the manipulation and dishonesty of it. You can have someone with 100,000 followers training. Imagine they train 5% of their clientele. That's what, 500? Or is that 5,000? That's 5,000. Mm-hmm. So in that scenario, they're training 5,000 people, and generally they're reaching out and saying, I'm going to give you a custom program. Nope, you're going to give me the city bus. You're going to give me group exercise masked as personal training. And you're probably going to have 10 or more shadow coaches who are not you assigning this program and writing them out and working for you. I mean, I know really many people who do this and who do this for really respectable individuals. And if you're lucky, they've hired someone to manage that as a vice president or something to manage those programs. But then the main guy's just selling, and paying, charging $400 plus for that shit, so that, once again, that's Group X.
We've met these people as well, and we can vouch. Like, it's I think that the Wild West is done with in the sense of I think that there's a whole lot more accountability now, and there's a whole lot more quality out there than there once was.
There is,
but it's still very easy to find the crap.
I think trainers like myself are making more of an effort to put ourselves out there and work with a smaller scale to give quality through that. So when we say, because I know a lot that do a really great job of it, which is one of the things that inspired me to go ahead and say like, hey, you got to do this.
Right.
You know, especially because I had some big lifestyle changes.
Sure.
And it's not that I don't knock the hustle of these people who have this huge following. Take advantage of it. You know, make money.
Sure.
But be upfront about what you're doing. That's what bothers me, because then they'll post, you know, the 20 transformations they had. And it's, once again, just like the city bus I mentioned. Did you actually call and like, what about when someone had a problem? Were you able to actually address it, or did they just fall off and stay quiet? You know, so.
Yeah, is your rate of success 1%? You're showing us the 1%.
Yeah, which would be enough.
Right.
You know, that'd be enough to show a big difference on. So.
It seems like the people that you're talking about, they have a knack for marketing more than they have a knack for the profession of, you know, personal training. And I think it also, there's a lot of people like what we were talking about before the podcast that, you know, they are young. And when you're young in fitness, you think you have the world by the balls and you think you know everything, and you come across like that on social media. And for somebody who's been in the fitness industry for a long time, I just kind of tune out to that. But I realize that it probably is attractive to people that are.
There's a 16-year-old kid that's 125, and he's like, "Tell me how to bench."
That guy's confident. That guy's confident. He must know what he's talking about.
He looks the part.
Yeah, he's jacked. He's confident, and he's saying all the things I want. And you know, I don't know anybody. It's just you don't know anybody else that's actually like invested yet, right? When you're 16, 17 years old, like how many people do you know that have paid for a personal trainer? You just don't have very many. Like there's kids that played sports, and there's kids that didn't. And the kids that didn't are typically like, I don't even want to be around those guys, right? I don't even like, I mean, like those guys make me feel inferior. I'm going to be at a different gym, and I'm going to, you know, so it's just at 16, 17, I can imagine that'd be pretty appetizing to spend $99 on somebody's fire plan or whatever it was called. Remember the fire plan?
No.
There was a guy that we used to know that, you know, really became successful with online coaching, was making $250,000 a month.
Which is amazing and cool.
All that was cool. It was just the fact that he was telling us that he was like, you give me $99, I'll send you out the PDF that's already done.
And that's what it is.
And he's like, and he was upfront about that.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't a customized plan. You pay $99.
And that's where a lot of the innovation with this came from. There was actually, I remember, and I never used them, but I always think these guys deserve a shout out because I don't know them personally, but the owners of HitchFit were probably the first people that I ever saw do online training programs via PDF. And I respect the heck out of them for it because they were ahead of their time.
Totally.
You know, and they only worked with people that, you know, they could consult with, and they did a lot of transformations. They were honest about it. We do transformations.
That's what they do.
You know,
the whole wall inside the gym.
And that's what they do. And they're awesome. And once again, way ahead of their time. So now you have people, you know, they would send a PDF back then and they would do that same thing. I definitely don't, I think they were legit. I respect them a lot. But when we then branch out into social media, there's a personal touch that doing just online training without the exposure of social media brings you. So social media brings a lot of attention. I love social media. I think it's awesome and fun and really exciting to be a part of. The people that are operating on it and doing a really good job of it, I also, you know, they do something that I don't know how to do. You know, I don't know how to be that popular on social media in comparison. Good for them. Take advantage of it. I can't knock that. You know, you market yourselves. You get yourselves out there. You know how to attach to a crowd and build relationships without seeing someone. I don't know how to do that. It's awesome. You know, so, but on my end, I had to figure out how to do it while also respecting my own convictions on it. And I actually tried training a group of 50 plus for a period of time, and it was just trash. Like it was just, I was disconnected.
Not
I was
to your
stressed.
standards by any means.
So I changed my price rate, and I work with only 15 people a month now because I can keep it personal. I can stay in touch with them. They are more comfortable to reach out to me. They get a very, they get a 24-hour turnaround time, if not 10 minutes of any communication they have with me. They get they get adjustments on their app in real time. You know, I white labeled an app through a company called Trainerize, which I know a lot of trainers do, and recorded all the videos for it. I have some 500 videos on there, which also adds that personal step to it, so I don't have to use anybody's stock video. And you know, nutrition is, you know, macros. I do it. People always overestimate how hard that is, you know, because it's like you can get on the internet. That's what I do.
Yeah.
and the app puts it together, you know, so it is not this intricate science that only trainers and nutritionists have to get a hold of. Oftentimes I'll show people how to do it. And then they come to me, and then I'll help them figure out what that looks like from a nutrition standpoint. But the biggest difference is adjustments towards what their goals are as they go through it. So where I can't assess someone on a table, I will assess them as they collect data on their own. So for example, if I have a client that's doing, let's say back squat, and they're at 300 and they're doing X amount of reps and that's their goal for that month. And then 1 week it starts to fall off. The next week it starts to fall off. Or they say, this is kind of bothering my knee. Okay, something's going on in that I need to look at. Something's not progressing, something's missing. So that turns into more of a long-term assessment based on data collection, as opposed to a live assessment based on like me seeing it right then and go, that's going to hurt later.
Sure.
Or that's going to keep you from developing this. It takes a little bit longer. And to be honest, depending on the goal, you're going to get a pretty baseline program from the beginning. It's the research and development that goes on after that and changes as we progress together, where it becomes really isolated. And
you're truly adjusting based on their own needs. Right?
Yes, that could be on the day. I could have a client reach out to me and say, hey, I'm on a work trip real quick. Can you send me something for this hotel? And I will look up the hotel's location. I will look up its gym, and I will put together a workout for them that day so them to do the next day.
That's awesome.
So, but that's the customer service side of it. It's one of my favorite stories about sales and customer service is a Zappos story, which used to be celebrated for
delivering happiness.
Yes,
we've all read that book.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, then like
Tony Hsieh.
Someone calls in, thinks they're calling a pizza company.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's one of my favorite stories.
That's amazing.
Like, no, hold on, we'll get the number for you and we'll call it in. It's like that sort of.
We'll deliver
level.
your pizza, and they didn't know it was their boss.
Yeah,
that was the best part. He called his own customer service line and had pizza delivered to them, and they're not a pizza company.
Yeah, and I love that. So it's like that sort of customer. We can still deliver that customer service as trainers. It is going to cost a premium because we have to make a living, and we can't service thousands of people. Mm-hmm. And once again, I'm fine with people servicing thousands of people. It's just consumers, I don't think, are always aware of what they're actually paying for.
Without a doubt. Well, they're paying for the result, right?
You also
they're paying for what they think they're going to look like when they're done.
Here's my take on that too: is that you have people that are selling a lot of those plans. There's a big chunk of those people who are buying hope. They're not actually buying a training program. So it's like when we have people come in here and people are like,
where can I buy some of that shit?
Yeah.
Well, dude,
we'll have people come in here and they'll be like, where's the fat burners at? And you get to talking to them. You're like, oh, you're not really trying to lose fat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're just looking for like some hope in a bottle, and you're just going to like throw it at the wall and see if that works.
It's it's an impulse purchase, right? For a lot of these people that are selling 5,000 plans a month. It was inexpensive
It's like, maybe
enough.
if I buy this, I'll do it. And then they know they're not going to do it.
It's an impulse purchase. They didn't even expect themselves to get results on it. They were just hoping that there might be something in this, this thing that they unlocked, that they would be able to see something that they haven't seen before. Yeah. And it's just 100% like buying hope, like he was saying. We have
take that. I never thought of it
like
that.
You've heard of green coffee bean extract.
Yes.
You've heard of Garcinia cambogia, right? These are our buying hopes in our industry, where people come in and we get frustrated when we see people we know on social media like posting this like $10 product.
It's not
at
a
Walmart
huge investment, right?
Yeah, it was $10. It was at the checkout counter, and then they have to rationalize it to you because they know you, and they're like, I know why you're commenting, Jeff. And they're like, I was cheap. It was at the checkout.
It might help.
I heard it on Dr. Oz. It's like every single person that rationalizes their Planet Fitness membership out loud. It's like the only gym membership where, by the way, if you work out there, I'm psyched for you, and I think it's great. But when people say they work out there, they have to follow it up with like someone like, it's just it's so cheap. It's so close, it's just.
They keep it clean.
Yeah. And there's usually something, that's one of my favorite things is when people start justifying things way ahead of schedule.
No one even asks. They're just they're already defending themselves.
That's why doing that, but you're basically justifying it to yourself, because I quite frankly don't give a fuck.
Right. Well, so I'd be like, hey,
cool. That's good for you.
Every single customer that comes in, like, hey, where do you like to work out? And they're like, just Planet Fitness right now. I'm just, I'm in between jobs. And I'm like, dude, that's great.
Great. It's great.
I actually had a membership there too at one point, and it was across the street from my work.
So convenient.
Why would I not go? It's great. Right across the street. How would I not do that? And so, $10 a month. What are we talking about? But anyways, people
it's really affordable.
People come. It's crazy. People come at us all the time though with the buy and hope stuff, and you're like, man, do you want results, or do you want to just keep on with this charade?
What are they buying at Planet Fitness? Is that hope, or is that just like you're already letting yourself down?
It's
like,
no. It's
I already know $10 is enough for me not to use it.
You understand that? Yeah, it's like
I think Planet Fitness has kind of got like the vibe like. now Bud Light's going through, where it's like,
Bud Light's in it, man.
yeah, where it's like people, they're like, hey man, it's a, I'll drink the Bud Light, but like, I'm not, it's the same thing with like Planet Fitness. People are like, yeah, I go to Planet Fitness, but like, lunk alarm, they want to like talk crap on it at the same time.
I gotta tell you, Bud Heavy is my favorite.
Is
thing
it?
To drink. Yeah. Oh yeah. Have you ever, like, especially once I had kids,
Yeah.
like sitting on my porch with like those really big, like dad shades on and just watching my kids. Well, I don't even always drink it.
With
I
the
just
New
like holding it
Balances.
because if I feel like I'm superior in my neighborhood in that moment.
You gotta assert dominance.
Yeah, like I'm like an orangutan with the most bananas sitting there, just like, why are you like, you're not on your front porch with a Budweiser? What are you doing? Especially when the guys across the street are drinking like an IPA, and I'm like,
you're just asserting your dominance in your neighborhood.
Come on.
Coors Light is where I came from, and that's where I was raised in Colorado. But there's something about Bud Heavy.
I'm a banquet beer guy.
You are?
What's not to love?
I just don't think banquet beer would beat Budweiser in a fight.
I'm with you.
Like Bud Heavy, to me, knocks him the fuck out.
It's very true. I feel like as far as asserting dominance, and
who's the person in your mind that plays Bud Heavy? Because have you heard the guy who talks about Coors?
No.
It's Sam Davis, or whatever his name is. Sam, help me out. Look him up. Who's the Dodge Ram guy? Sam. Dude, he's the most famous guy ever. He was in Roadhouse.
Yeah.
He's the guy
Sam Neill.
Sam
Elliott.
Sam Elliott. That's
Tombstone.
Yeah, you're telling me that Sam Elliott's going to lose in a fight to Bud Heavy? Sam Elliott's the guy who goes,
I didn't know that.
Coors, a banquet beer.
When you put it like that,
I'm just saying.
No, you're right. I didn't know
Sam Elliott was.
I didn't know he was in
a
bed with
professional
Coors Banquet
bouncer
I didn't know
in the
he
movie
was in bed
Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze.
I take it back. That was okay. You have enlightened me.
I'm just saying, go at me on the trivia.
I'm gonna put this out there. Coors Light is disgusting.
Man, I love Coors Light.
Still if you were beer, Power and Light.
If you were on, you needed the most refreshing beer, like the most watery, refreshing beer.
Yeah.
And it is that. Just like if it's on a hot day,
yeah.
I want a Coors Light because it is so light and so refreshing. It's like
what's
it's
your
like a
go-to
moldy
summer
Sprite.
beer? What's your go-to summer beer? Kyle drinks beer. I'm not a huge beer drinker. I had my first Busch Light in like years the other day. I hit an ace playing golf.
It's a Busch Latte.
And they gave it away. They gave away beer because I hit this hole in one. And so I drank a Busch Light and I was like, this is delicious.
It is like that for it's been a while.
That's a crispy boy.
It was out of the cooler, iced down. I was like, dude, I get it. These are delicious.
They are. They got something special.
I don't know why
about
I
it.
ever stopped drinking these.
Yeah,
These are awesome.
Crispy boy.
Yeah, a Busch Light specifically. Are you going to play some Sam Elliott for us?
Very important.
Like, come on, I didn't come
on,
here just
dude.
to talk.
Is it a Coors
Just like I'm gonna win this argument by.
God, he looks good.
This video.
No compromising. Best ingredients.
I can smell
Water
this video and it
filtered from the
smells like
Rocky
cigarette
Mountains.
smoke.
He was also the Marlboro
He's
Man.
so put out about
he was
something.
the Marlboro Man.
I believe that.
And everything's gonna be better now.
Yeah, hold on.
That was a big.
Like the Rocky Mountains themselves, Coors Banquet is an American.
That is a heater.
Our beer's been brewed in Golden, Colorado.
Wow.
All right. I want one right now.
Chug.
I would put down a Coors
amazing.
Banquet beer right now. Come on.
They should make him write a Clydesdale on the next one, just
Bring
to really
him back.
shove it in Bud Heavy's face.
That's true. They could adopt
Because
them.
he would master a Clydesdale, no problem.
Is there stronger horses out there? I don't know.
If so, or bull, just put him on a bull.
I lived right next to Grant's farm in St. Louis for a couple of years, and it was really cool to
That's
see
where
the
the Clydesdales
Clydesdales. Yeah, they're freaking massive, dude. They're
they're
huge.
Yeah.
They have like.
But
the
they're no
grown-
Sam Elliott. Like
no
that's Sam
Sam
Elliott
Elliott.
talking about the goldenness of
You're
the
not-
Rockies, and no way.
Sam
all day.
Elliott, sitting at a bar with some Marlboro Reds talking about banquet beers. I mean, who doesn't love that?
That's America.
I love it.
He's the
That's
most American.
America.
I love it.
That's the most American man I could think of in my head. If I think of like the most like the picture of like who we should be as a country,
He would have been wearing a cowboy
Sam
hat,
Elliott for sure.
and that was kind of a letdown. Had no idea he had such a great head of hair.
That's true.
Like that really
That
took me
is
by
true.
surprise about that ad.
All right, I got more deep questions for you. You ready?
Yes, maybe.
All
Let's
right,
go.
dude.
Now
So,
that we've
That
established,
beer conversation was going to loosen me up a little bit. I was feeling a little tight.
Well, dude, the online training stuff is intense, And all I'm saying is,
I got a question for you, man. You said that you really enjoy social media. I have gone through a lot of issues with like feeling disillusioned with social media, and that I don't know if you've ever felt like this before, but I've almost come to the point now where I feel like I've read every post there is to read. Does that make sense? Like, like I'll read a post, I'm like, oh, that's that post. You know what I'm saying?
Or
especially when it comes to fitness.
Stop reading posts and just start watching the videos of the TikToks.
I watch the funnies.
Watch
I like
the reels.
But what I'm saying is, have you ever gone through a period where you felt like that yourself? And how do you continue to come up with creative content, because your content is unique?
Show them the one with the frying pan, Luke. give them the frying pan.
It is unique, that's for sure. Well, my thing about
Tell us. How does he come up with this stuff, Kyle?
So the honesty behind this is, first of all, I love my shit. I just gotta let you know. And that to me was the most important thing, because when I owned the training company, the hardest part was trying to love what I did while also representing a team of 12 trainers.
Right.
Because I do that and they're just like, what is my fucking boss doing? Like, what is this guy on? I'm doing laundry here.
Yeah.
So every time I do this, it's like, first I get a little bit tired of doing them in the gym. And also I'm kind of disenchanted by that. When people started wearing microphones in the gym, that's taken things to a different level of just like, we are pushing our boundaries here.
Yeah.
You know, people work here, people work out here, and now we're using this as like our TV studio. We're going to get asked to stop doing this.
The tripod goblins, as I've been told.
Yeah, and it's a real thing.
Tripod goblins.
And I have a good time after everybody goes to bed. So it's also like, these are the things that I do daily. I'm at home with my kids all day, you know, and my life is probably 5% fitness.
Yeah.
You know, not including my job. I probably work out 4 times a week. I eat relatively healthy. Business is by all means a big part of life, but the biggest part of my life, you know, people always, oh, Instagram is fake. No, I vacuum with my shirt off. The only thing that's different about that is I had a tripod up and a light.
Phenomenal lighting.
I got lighting.
Yeah. I'm like, you got some great lighting going in there.
And it's fun. Like it's I have been disenchanted by social media in more ways, mostly because you see people doing great, you know, and you know that you're great, and you know you have all this stuff to offer, and it's hard to focus on it because you want to put yourself and what makes you great out there. And then you see someone, and you're like, I know these things, I could do better than that, but then you get this imposter syndrome because, you know, even though you see people who have obviously no problem with that just happen to be so self-confident that they'll put out things that you know are not good, you know, and it gets attention. And then you look at that and you go like, maybe they're just ignorant, you know, and that's what most people are, you know. So if you put that out there and you say, okay, well, I'm going to put out this 5%. And this also drives me nuts about social media. And people would bring this up to me all the time and say,
hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into the podcast. Kyle and I really appreciate your support. We've been doing this for a really long time. We want to let you know that we do this completely free. We don't run ads. We're not asking for anything from you guys except for one thing, and that is to pay it forward. Please tell a friend. Please give it a share. Please give it a like if you found any value in our podcast. We do this 100% to support local fitness. And so if you in turn appreciate and support local fitness, we hope that you do share the podcast with somebody who could get value in it. Now, let's get you back to the episode.
This is like, it seems like this is their life. And it might be, you know, but I also really know that it's not the biggest part of my life at all. It's the biggest part of my social media.
You're talking about their like content creations?
Yeah, like what they put out there. So for example, if you follow a fitness person, it would seem like they do that all day and nothing else. All they do is eat the right things. All they do is work out.
Sure.
All they do is dress in matching outfits. All they do is in all this stuff. And it's like, what do you do at home? You know, what are you doing at home? Like, what does that look like? You can be sexy at home. I don't care. You can be all those things at home, but do people just not care? And maybe they don't. But it seemed so false of me to be excited about only putting out stuff where I was working out or talking about that stuff. And I also wasn't talking on the camera much, which, as you can tell, I love the sound of my own voice, you know, and talking about shit.
You got to be talking, dude.
I got to be, you know, and it's fun. And I'm not answering your question. So let me think. I have been disenchanted by it, seeing all the other trainers have wild amounts of success, and that's just envy.
Yeah.
You know, I was jealous because it's like, I know so much, but I can't get this kind of attention. I think I look good, but I can't get this type of following. I can't have this sort of influence. And then it was, are you using it for attention, or do you want to use it to build a community outside of the 4 walls that you live within, based on what you're actually passionate about? When that clicked with me.
Yeah, I was going to say that transition was obvious.
Yeah, it was big. It was bang. It was, you know what? I want to start doing I want to start building outside of my four walls with people that I could meet in person. And now when we go to an event or I go somewhere, it's just like I get to say hi to so many people in our community. I'll get people that send me messages and comment or like something that I actually know, and I feel like we have this conversation or we have these relationships that are built. So I think one of the hardest things about social media is you're like, it's fake. You're not building real relationships. And I can tell you some of the best conversations I've had in the past year and a half since my son was born have been a matter of me expanding outside of my four walls at home and getting to know people through social media.
So it's like, it sounds like this was rooted in a sense of when you were initially using social media for your profession, it was a lot of comparing, and it was a lot of
exactly, Jeff,
and a lot of expectations you were putting on yourself and beliefs you put over yourself that were based on somebody else's, race that they were running, if you will, and it was kind of dictating your pace. And so like, it's someone's always going to be making, bigger gains or having better fat loss than you. And this is what you would tell your clients, of course. And you're like, dude, just run your own race. Your intent is off, right?
Well,
like get out of it, what you want to get out of it. So the minute that you stopped caring how everybody else was doing things and how did you want to do things and just lean into that is when it became enjoyable.
Man, it's kind of like if you go and you end up dating the hottest person you've ever seen. Okay. But you have to fake yourself to do it. You're not going to be happy, so you want to be genuine, you want to be authentic, but was I ever happy when I was trying to run that race with what I was doing? No, didn't feel right. It felt awkward. And then when you don't accomplish it, like for example, when that person leaves you or doesn't give you what you want based on you changing who you are to suit them, it feels even worse.
Right.
So I am really proud that, I talk to some of you. I talk to a lot of your people that work with you. I talk to people that train around the city that I have respect for that I truly don't think I ever would have met if I hadn't have eventually just started being myself. You could just almost feel the defensive nature in my posts at one point, almost like I was trying to combat my own lack of popularity. It's weird, so.
Well, dude, this is my
it's
raw
resentment for
correct.
Yeah. It's just like
my raw thoughts when I met Dylan was like, this guy 100% like knows that he is in the top percentage of trainers out there because of his unbelievable knowledge. And he's really passionate about it. And he has all the care in the world. And if you were to train with this guy, he would do whatever it takes to ensure that you got the results you were looking for. And he sees these other people that are doing 10% of that kind of work, 10% of that amount of care, and they're getting a ton more leads or a ton more. And I'm like, man, it's so hard to advertise your care, right?
Yes.
And so, you and I have had several conversations on a business level where it's like, hey, how do I advertise, that we care more? We have a much deeper understanding of how the body works. I produce the best results if you stick with my plan, and it's like, man, that's really hard to advertise. It's going to have to just be, the results speak for themselves and those clients tell their friends. It's just a slower growth. And when you're trying to build a training program from scratch at the start of a gym where it's like, we need results now, because like the rent's the same every month, I don't get to like pay more when I make more. I have to pay the same. And so that makes it really, really tough. And so people then have to start, and this is where it gets tough, right? Where you're like, do I start changing my value system? Right?
Yeah, totally.
And you're like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not, we talked about you posting, was it transformations maybe? Was it transformations? You're like, I like make it a point to never post transformations because that's what everybody else does.
It's transformations I don't post for many reasons. One, it's their work is not my glory.
Sure.
It's if they put that forward, I'm not going to use them to sell my own business. Sure. Because that's not what they signed up for. Even unless they like really want it, it just doesn't seem, it's a very personal approach. I work with a lot of people who have professional careers who are, in their own communities that just don't want to be put out there like that. So I don't even mess with it because I don't want someone looking at that and be like, well, are you going to post me out there? And it's also not what I do.
Sure.
A transformation, as far as I've always understood it, is I'm going to do this amazing change for you in a short amount of time. And then our job is done. My job is, most of the people I've ever worked with, I've worked with for 5+ years.
Sure.
So it's, we're going to transform so much more about your life than just your body. Also, how many people I see who go through transformations. It's not as many as I just made it sound, but you see people go through transformations and then they don't know what to do afterwards.
Right.
And
we learned that lesson really hard as a company because we do operation transformation and we do it like once a year, and we'd have that same thing happen. And now we do like a constant. It's basically like
for a year.
It's like
it's
for
cool.
a year. We
We
continuously do it, because if you don't do that, like I said, you're not giving people like the format that they need to like continuously see results over time.
And the thing is that you and I talked about this, and this is kind of at the basis of like where the direction that it seemed like there was a line drawn in the sand that you wouldn't take. And this is the one I'm getting into. There was a time when, an 8-week transformation, or let's say in our case, we would advertise like a weight loss product. These are things that the people that want to buy hope will latch onto, right? And it's up to us as professionals to be honest with these people when they come to you looking for the quick fix. That you have to explain to them and tell them the harsh truths of it all, and explain it to them in a way where, hey, but this is still exciting.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a lot of fun.
Big time.
And you're going to actually change your life, and it's going to be enjoyable, but it's going to take some different expectations, right? But I don't get to have that conversation if I don't throw out an 8-week challenge. I don't get to have that conversation.
I remember that conversation.
Because I was like, dude, you're just limiting yourself because you don't want to tell people that you offer something that comes across as gimmicky, which I would argue is ego. I would argue that.
I can't disagree with that. I have a huge ego.
In this instance, you know what I'm saying? In this specific arena, because it's like, I don't want to be associated with these jerk offs who are literally just making money hand over fist over selling, fairy dust, more or less. And you're like, dude, I'm not associating with that. And I'm like, it's not that. You're not selling that. You're letting them know the same kind of results that you give. It's the same kind of results these people are advertising that they give, but you're going to be the honest person about it. And we can change this industry one person at a time, but we got to invite them in.
I remember that conversation.
If I throw a party and I say that, like, there's no booze and there's no hot chicks, not a lot of dudes are coming. You know what I'm saying? But once I'm there and I'm like, hey, once they come and like, then we can talk about like, hey, let's actually, let's be better guys here. Let's be better men. Here's what we do different. And then they're like, I'm going to lose some people,
advertising,
but you're going to get a lot more loyal people.
Advertising that, like, hey, you need to follow this diet and you need to take this multivitamin. Nobody comes in. Nobody comes into our store.
We laugh about it all the time. Like, dude, why don't you guys advertise about your customer service? Because I'm like, everybody just expects customer service is going to be good everywhere they go, and they only hear about it when it's bad.
Yeah. So this is also like when it comes to training.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about this because I've always felt like, okay, you're a personal trainer, like you said, about your own business. Like, sure, people expect results. That's baseline. Right. Results is like, I'm calling a trainer, I'm getting results. So that's the other thing. Even though I agree with you, this is just me talking with another sticking point for me on that was.
Oh, no, I love to hear it.
I'm a trainer.
Raw thoughts is great.
You should expect a result from me. It's everything that I offer outside of that brings me value. And if I want to charge a superior rate, I can't offer you the Toyota. I need to offer you the ultimate driving machine. And this is what the ultimate driving machine brings you. It's the features are important when you get into a certain price point of how you get the result, and then how long you continue using it because of the service that comes through on that. And I think one of my biggest problems with that was, for example, this reminds me of I don't think that that's for every industry. I don't think that's, or even everyone in our industry. And
what is that in this being
instance? Because to me, that'll always sound like a bait and switch. You're coming in for this, but as soon as you get here, we're going to have a discussion on what you actually need. And I saw this happen with a corporate gym that I worked for, where that was basically how they did everything. Where you'd have people come in and they thought they were getting one thing, but they would outright lie to say, hey, we're going to do this with your trainer. And then you meet with them and immediately they're giving you something else, and they're just talking fast enough that you don't really have enough time to say no. And
totally.
Like,
and
you're basically
overwhelming approach. And
they're like, well, I just came here to do this body scan thing. And it's just like, that to me, would not.
Oh, there's no longevity to that.
Well, and it's also just not like, for me, it goes against that value. And heck, maybe I could have had more success in my life if I. Well,
you can just say that's fucked up, because I would agree that's just fucked up.
And I don't know the
to
barrier
do that to somebody.
So in training.
Well, hear me out on the training side of things.
I'm gonna hear you.
So when it comes to the weight loss stuff that we talk about, it's our most expensive product. It's not a free product that you come in for and then we try to sell you with the most expensive product, right? The product that we're selling or advertising is our most expensive product.
Yeah.
And so they're coming in knowing full well that what they're looking for is that we might even tell them to spend less money, to be honest, because we want to gain their trust over anything, right? The trust is what we need more than anything. And then we'll stick with them long term, right? On your end, you could be selling, for example, Alex Hormozy. Are you familiar with him? He did Gym Launch.
No.
So he would sell the result more or less, right? He'd say like, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run a challenge. You're going to pay me $500 for this challenge. And if you don't get results, so they created some parameters for the guarantee, then I will give you your $500 back. Or if you get the results, right, I'll also give you your money back. So it was a win-win for the person, right? And then after they win, let's say they actually get the results. Like, hey, we also know, like, this is a lifestyle now, right? Like, you're really bought in. You were buying the hope in the beginning, but now you've really done this. This is a lifestyle change for you. You've created these great habits. This is not something we want to give up on, right? So we can take that money, we can apply it to your membership, and you can just continue to keep going through it, or you can cancel. It's up to you. But I think that we both agree that we're on the right path now, aren't we? And then you're like, oh shit, you're right. And so he sold his business for $40 million. And he's younger than all three of us, which
is amazing and awesome.
But I'm saying, like, he is somebody who figured out how I sell the result and still do it in a very, I would say, in a very positive way.
It's as easy as knowing this, that you can't change what people are looking for, but you can change what their expectations of how to get those results are. And if
that's what we try so hard to do. Yeah, it's difficult.
But that's why, like, if you were advertising, like trainers who advertise, hey, we have an 8-week challenge coming up or something like that. People are looking for that, and so it's like and the way that I would always look at it, if I was a trainer, is I would be like, well, whose 8-week challenge do I want them in? Who do I feel like who's gonna transfer the best information to them? Who's gonna put the most emotion into it and actually like try and get them the best possible results? If I truly think that's me, and then I also know that they're just, in general, people are going to be looking for that thing. It's unethical to not do that, right? Because you think, hey, where am I going to make the biggest? Where am I going to?
How can I help the most people?
How can I help the most people? It's got to be that. It's the people. I have to go where people are looking, and I also think that I can actually do it the absolute best versus these dorks out here that are doing it in an unethical way. That's the way that I would look at
so
it.
Like where we're all at, I think at the end of the day, is like, how do I be the positive change or the positive impact that I want to see in this community, right? Mm-hmm. Or in this fitness industry. And, that's what we try to do. And it's like, if there's a better approach out there, like we're talking about with Alex Hormozy's, we're like, damn, why didn't we think of that? Because that's a great way to get people in the door. So you have the opportunity to bring them into a lifestyle.
Here's the thing though, that sucks. People are just going to fall off and quit. And that there's really nothing you can do that is going to stop that from happening.
Right.
It's like you can pour every fucking ounce of like care and emotion and transfer of knowledge, and but you can't go home with them, and you can't like change who they're married to. You can't change who their friends are, and that circle of influence a lot of times overrides anything that you're going to do.
That leads me to my next question for you. So directly is, in your history, this is, you're well over, I think, what is it, 14 years?
14 years, yes.
14 years training, Dylan. What do you feel like is the number one variable that people can control that they're messing up when they fail? Like when you get a client who is just simply losing hope and they're not following through on things, where is it coming from directly?
You have not communicated enough. A trainer, you have to communicate up front consistently about where they're at and where they're heading and what you're doing next.
Heart and mind,
they feel like they're failures.
Okay.
They feel like they are letting you down. They feel like they're letting themselves down. They feel like they're not doing something right, when in all reality, they're probably doing everything that they can, especially if they're working with someone one-on-one. I didn't have themselves
more grace.
Yeah. I didn't have I probably had a 90% retention rate for a decade plus, which is not the industry
awesome.
Average. It's incredible.
Certainly not. No, it just goes to the level of care you put in your people.
But that's what I mean. It's like, I never set a false pretense. It would always be, here's where we're at, here's what we're doing. And at the beginning of every session, you would have, here's what you did last week, here's what it led to this week, or here's what you did yesterday, and here's what it led to this week. And at the end of it, you go, here's what we're going to do next week. This is what you accomplished today, and this is what it should lead us to. And if you're in communication with them, you'll hear about it like, well, this is what's been going on for the past month. So you had this goal, you've been missing these days. You've been eating this way. You've been doing this way. I am doing everything I can on my front. Absolutely. To get you to where you want to go. And I have track of that. I keep data. So I know like you are getting stronger, or you are doing this, or you are doing that. Things are getting better for you from a strength and life standpoint. So we need to talk about negotiating at home. And then you will find that they're simply getting disappointed with themselves for not following through on their end of the bargain because they love you. How many people in your life do you spend an hour a week with that you don't work with, or 3 hours a week with that you don't work with? Very little. You're one of their favorite people in the world if you're working with them one-on-one. At least you better be.
Yeah.
So now they have one more person in their life. Like, not only am I letting myself down, I'm disappointing him. And it's like, when you are not able to, and it's not even about a result so much sometimes, it's more about, do I feel good about the direction I'm going in? Do I feel stronger than I did last week? Do I feel this? Because to have retention over, once again, most people I worked with for 5+ years, you're always talking about the next steps. We're never talking about, and this is why we never sold packages either. It's like, well, we stop when you tell me to stop.
Right.
I'm gonna keep training you for the rest of my life. Yeah. There's no like, hey, here's our 12-week plan, or here's our 12-week package. It's, we're gonna do every single one of these per, a la carte until you tell me to stop. And I'm always going to have a direction for you. I'm always going to tell you where you're at. I'm always going to communicate with you on this. And if you're feeling disappointed or discouraged, we need to step back and we need to assess where that's coming from so that we can address it and get you back to what makes you feel confident and proud. And people have emotions, man, like about their bodies. I have seen people have failures and success across the board went from a client standpoint. And generally it comes down like they have 160 some hours outside of our training a week doing other things, and a good example is, especially after you have kids, it's not hating your kids sometimes because they keep you from doing what makes you feel good. And that could mean I want to be in better shape, but I don't even have time to sleep. And I'm supposed to come here and work out, but all these life circumstances are there. And then you have people that expect to train like athletes year round.
Yeah.
That aren't athletes. Athletes don't train like athletes year round. They do periodization. So with even my clients that I've had, once they've been along long term, periodization becomes necessary to avoid those letdowns because you're going, this is what we're doing. Like, why am I lifting less this week? We talked about this last month. This is a long-term thing. This is a life thing. So I've found that disappointment is much harder to get to if you're communicating clearly. If you're a trainer and you're not communicating with them, or you're not, projecting for them and setting, like, think about business. If you put in that and you say like, hey, we're going to hit this quota. Well, now you've set an expectation, and you're going to be disappointed if you don't hit that expectation.
Right.
So what are all the things that you went through to get there? And then you collect data to identify like, okay, we didn't hit our quota. Well, let's check retention. Let's check attrition. Let's check our sales on X, Y, and Z. Not so that we can judge execution, but we can figure out where we are not doing our best. I'm not doing it to say, no, to me, that is everything. Communication is everything, and I've had people crying to me. I've had people have repressed memories from being touched, like all sorts of shit, because the body and the mind are one and the same. I don't know, man. I've had really good experiences with clients, because I sell an experience, when we say people want a result, I think that that's true. But if that's the case, I mentioned cars earlier, a Toyota will get you from point A to point B.
Right.
It's how a BMW makes you feel that makes you pay $120,000 for that, to buy it. So if you want to be an elite trainer, you can't just get them from point A to point B. They need to have an experience on the way there that's far superior to what it would be just taking a used car. And not everybody's going to be for that.
Sure.
But if you want to be elite, quite frankly, you can look up anything you want online to get results. If you really wanted results, and this I'm going to come back to, people want results. If you really wanted them, you would just look it up and you would get the same result that you would from most things. If you want an experience and you want a person in your corner, you hire a trainer. And that is where we come in, where I don't sell people results. They come to me and they tell me what they want, and I tell them the reality of how close they can get to that based on what their current lifestyle is and what they need to do to address that. And then we discuss whether or not that's possible. So you're right in a sense where you bring people in for an 8-week transformation, and then you tell them the reality.
Right.
I'm already starting by disappointing them. Now I'm bringing them in, I'm going like, wow, isn't that a letdown? I just brought you in for this thing that I advertised out to the world I could do for you. And now I'm already saying like, not for you. Not for you. You're in this for life. And I don't even know if we'll get there in a year. You know,
It's kind of almost like an interview process, right? It's like, yeah, I'm like, it sounds like
I wasn't saying that's right for you, by the way. I was just saying like,
you were. I saw it in your eyes. You were looking at me.
I was like,
bro,
dude, you better do an 8-week challenge.
When are you gonna start your
you better do an
challenges?
8-week challenge like us. It's the
I was
shit,
just-
man.
I
Everybody's
was
gonna
just
post
like,
about
It
it.
used to be a 12-week challenge.
Yeah, that
Too long.
You should do
Way
it.
too long.
Hey, dude, this is an idea.
Can't get life-changing results.
No. You do a life challenge.
7-minute ad.
You're
A life
signing up for life.
Whoever
dude.
lives the longest wins.
Yeah.
Every year, someone's going to put $100 into this pot, and whoever lives the longest is the winner. I'm with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
What was it? There's something about Mary. You know that? Remember that one?
Yes, I love that movie. It's amazing.
He's like, 8-minute abs? He's like, I've been thinking about it.
7-minute abs.
7. Think about it, bro. 7-minute abs.
But
Now
man,
that
you just hit the nail on the head of
Yeah.
the whole industry, though.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
a 6-week
how
challenge.
could I one up you
4-week
on
challenge.
getting it to you faster
21-day challenge.
and easier? Yeah.
It's not
That's
3
what-
weeks.
How much
no.
are we going to change in 1
21
week?
days.
Well, what did you do? I gave them a shitload of Adderall and a lot of running to do, and they lost like 10 pounds and didn't eat a thing. They look like shit, but
Dude, this is actually one of these ones that didn't work. That I thought was really cool, and I want to know because it's a local fitness. So I want to talk about it. So Zone 6,
yeah,
right?
great place.
Yeah, dude, phenomenal facility on the inside. And when they were getting started, they put a lot of money behind it, as you know, just from seeing the equipment and so forth. And they did something that I had never heard of before, and it was their 21-day challenge. Are you familiar with this?
No.
So how they did this was they would pay somebody salary to go into the corporate world, and they would sell people on, hey, like, don't partner with Zone 6. We're not asking you to partner with us. We will give away our membership to every single person that works here if they sign up for our 21-day challenge. They'll get a full key tag. We'll get all their information. We'll sign them up. They are literally going to have the entire gym membership that they would get if they were paying full price for 21 days. If you do these requirements that we have involved in the 21-day challenge or whatever, we will give you personal training help. We will give you nutrition help. We will give you an in-body scan, all of the things to get them on the right track, because it takes 21 days to build a habit, as they say. I don't believe.
Or break one.
Yeah. I don't believe in 21 day.
I think it takes longer than that.
I think it
I
takes
think it's about
personally.
volume. I think if like
Takes
21 days,
way
well,
longer.
21 days of me doing it habitually, or 21 days of like 3 or 4 days in there. Like there's so many details in the context.
Yeah, and what is good, and versus bad. So, anyways, they do this, and I thought in my head, like, dude, this is great, because they have to have exit interviews every single one of these people, which is like kind of the closing of the sale, where it's like, all right, you've been doing this 21 days. You're obviously like, starting this new lifestyle. Time to sign up. And it didn't retain enough people to where they could keep paying this person to do this full time. And so it's like it didn't end up, longevity wise, it didn't stick around long enough. But they did, like, I think, at least 10 of them, and we partnered with them on a couple of them.
Awesome.
But I thought it was a novel idea, you know what I mean, to try to get people into a lifestyle change by selling them on the 21-day challenge part. But I don't know. I mean, it just didn't stick. I don't understand. I couldn't divulge as to why.
Trainering. Okay, so look this up. This was the case probably 2 or 3 years ago when I researched it. 9% of American, not United States Americans. I hate it when I say Americans because there's like 2 continents. but 9% of us belong to a gym. 4% of us go on a monthly basis. So if you think about the percentage that I don't have a number for, of people that actually meet with a trainer and ask for help, how low that number actually truly is. When we see, bring it back to social media briefly, oh, everybody must be like this. No, not even 1% of people work out that hard or look like this. It's not reality. So you go and try and sell something that's unapproachable for free in hopes that it makes it more something that they feel have more value in. It's just not going to happen. And then when you go and ask them for value for it, you got to be upfront, I guess is what I'm saying. I was thinking on my way over here, what's the most important thing I would tell a trainer or a program in our field for longevity? It's being incredibly honest. Meaning, one of the first things I ever bring up with people is cost. And I tell them at the end of this, I'm 100% going to tell you you're going to be better off with me. I'm not selling you on anything. That's just the truth. For $125 a session, you're going to be better with me. It's just a matter of how often I'm going to see you. And now it's up to me for the next couple of hours to demonstrate to you why, but yeah, I'm going to ask you for that. But it's not a sales pitch. It's going to be honesty, and I might look at you and say, I only need you once a week. You're doing great. I may tell you, I need you 3 times a week, but I'm going to give you the honest answer. And that even goes further into, I don't know the answer. I'm going to do this. But they need to be honest with us about what they actually want. Because to sit down with a trainer, just think about how many guts that takes. Like to actually sit down and be like, hey, I'm super unsure about this. I'm kind of uncomfortable. I'm sitting down in front of me of all people. And I'm going to explain to you the things that I'm insecure about. No, no. How are you going to get them out of me? I just want to hit the floor and be looked at. Like, no one even wants to do that. So
it's funny because I want to say that I got to explain this, like for our listeners. Dylan is a physically imposing guy. As in, like, he looks like that guy that in their mind they thought wouldn't care. He looks like that guy that would be condescending talking to him. In their mind, the made up person in their head that they've been, fearing their whole lives as far as their insecurities go. And you're like, no, I'm actually the world's nicest person, and no one's ever cared more about your results than me. Like, no one's ever cared about you feeling good about yourself more than I will. Like, it's crazy. So how much do you have to deal with people breaking through that wall first?
That's a
just
cool question.
Purely because of just all of their preconceived notions that they had before they talked to you.
It's one of my favorite things to talk about because it's a backhanded compliment towards my stature,
sure.
Which is, hey, by the way, you're
jacked, bro.
Yeah. I love that. So let's talk about it.
Talk more about that.
Let's talk more about how I overcome my intimidating stature and how large I am with all my muscles.
It's just people are insecure, man, and it's like it's so difficult. Talk about sitting down with a trainer. We are still surprised. Like, it still blows my mind that there's people that are just too scared to come into our store.
For sure.
And you're just huh?
Well, if you look at it, the perception of us from the outside in, if you have some self-awareness for it, and I think there's a big boundary with self-awareness of, am I beating myself up or am I just being aware of how I may be received? Because I think too often self-awareness turns into self-deprecation. In all reality, this is what I look like in this scenario. I had a lot of help from HR over the years to explain to me what that was like in a lot of ways that I didn't enjoy, basically saying, you can't be as blunt and honest as other people can. Because it's going to come across differently based on your tone of voice and your stature, period.
True.
And that sort of self-awareness of how you carry yourself in a room. So as soon as someone sits down with you, I mention to them the statistics I just told you. And then I also tell them how impressed I am that they're going to be there. Because that is fucking true. Like, if you are sitting in front of a trainer and you have those guts and you're nervous, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because you've already taken a big step. I just had to show up to work. Mm-hmm. You came in here and you were like, I have the guts to sit in front of a total stranger who I'm afraid of judging me, who I fear is going to tell me things that I don't want to hear, and who I fear is going to look down on me based on the fact that I haven't lived a life like them. So right away, if your utmost importance is, how do I overcome the obstacle of my presence, which sounds arrogant as hell, but it's just, in some scenarios, like when I go and sit in front of a financial advisor, I get nervous as hell. Because I'm not as good as my finances as I should be, and you go through this, and when you realize they're not a nice Chad from some fraternity, they probably are, but they know, how to talk to me. You're like, this is a good time. Like, I'm really excited about this. They listened to me. They understood the importance of this and what's important to me. And they are aligning their job with what my goals are. And now I'm attached to this person. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we cry, sometimes we laugh, sometimes I'm a super emotional dude. And man, like you said, I just care. Like, if someone's going to be paying me that much money, like, you're going to hear from me. You're going to feel love from me. I'm going to show up. I'm going to help you move. Like, dude,
if I'm going to spend, $125 an hour, I want somebody who training is a part of who they are. And I think that 100% it's a healthy identity attachment that you have is like, I am a phenomenal trainer. And so it's like you get something out of that when you obviously see them caring so much about like how you're coming at them and they're loving it. And they're like, there's just a lot of, I think, fulfillment that you're getting when you have somebody who's really buying into you.
I think that what you just said is great advice for any young trainer, is that you have to feel that way. You can't just convey information, it's not about, it's not about,
strong. Such a strong
if you have all the information, in your head, and you can tell everybody, this is the best program to follow. This is exactly, the biomechanics of, every movement pattern that you have. This is exactly how you should be eating, blah, blah, blah. None of that matters if you don't have what you just said. If you don't have the actual like love for people and actual desire for the best for people, then it doesn't, you will not unlock anybody's,
What's the phrase we use 1 million times over in our business?
Yeah. People don't know. People don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Exactly. No, totally. So, and trainers, if you're a trainer out there, this is probably the most essential thing that I could tell anybody or any trainer is how you ask your questions, how you get the details of who they are. And if you only have a legitimate offer in training, if you can backtrack and say, this is how I'm going to help this thing you told me you want to do. I did not come up with this for you. You didn't sit down with me and I said, this is what bad shape is, and this is how you look, and this is what I need to address those based on me. I asked the appropriate amount of questions to know what matters to you. I dug a little bit deeper to understand why that matters to you, because a lot of people say this is a hard one to get out of a lot of people. I just want to be in better shape. What does that mean to you? Well, it means, okay, well, and then I get the numbers out and it's like, okay, well, this actually means X, Y, and Z for you because this is how you said we get to 5 to 8, blah, blah, blah. But when you dig in deep to that and you can attach what they want and get them to have this reckoning with clarity about what they really are looking for, which you were talking about earlier, and going, okay, it's not actually the result that's most important to me. It's feeling less this way about myself.
Right.
You know, and you're going, well, great. This is what we're going to do so you can physically feel less that way about yourself and make that happen. And the lessons that we want to hope we apply through that based on your consistency or whatever. And if you can attach an emotionally driven goal to the work that you're going to do with someone, they will ride or die for you.
Right. Mm-hmm. They become your biggest cheerleader.
Absolutely.
In that first assessment phase, do you take the time to relate to current situations that they have going on? Because like for me, when I've dealt with people in the past, you know, uncovering what they have going on personally. Like, let's say I was talking to Jeff, and Jeff's like, man, I've been trying to lose weight, and he's like, but I have a problem with going into Quick Trip and eating the taquitos at Quick Trip.
I do love the taquitos at Quick Trip.
Quick Trip is amazing.
I also like taquitos.
There's something about Quick Trip in general. If you're from the Midwest, there's like,
oh, it's definitely a
I
habit.
don't get it. Like there's some love
It's
for it. That's like, I look forward to going to Quick Trip. Like if we were talking about finances earlier, if you had any idea how much I've been reprimanded for my Quick Trip budget.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my wife.
I think you once told me about this in a separate conversation. You're like, it's like $11 a day, bro. You're like 2 energy drinks every morning plus this.
I have a list of things that I get.
Yeah.
My wife does the same thing.
It's a habit,
she monitors the credit card transactions.
I like choose not to go into Quick Trips if I'm really trying to be on my game. Like I don't even want to go in just because of the habit of like I can grab hot food off a roller and take a bite of it immediately.
Anyways, back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
If I take the time to say, hey, dude, I understand what that's like. I also love taquitos. I also have had a problem with grabbing things and not making time for myself in the morning, which basically opens people up to being like,
oh, you're not just a big muscle head?
You're not just a machine. I can see myself in you, and I can see, you know, that this person has some, or you know, you talk to somebody who has
relating
kids.
to me, and I'm now understanding that it is possible for me to get there too.
You're talking to somebody who has kids. You know, hey, I have 3 kids as well, you know, so like I can relate to you on that. And I feel like I have the same, we go through the same types of things. I've found that to be so valuable as far as getting people to like connect with you, because if you don't do that, if you don't have the humility to say, I'm going through the same things as you, a lot of times people are like, yeah, that's, you know, of course you can do that because look at you. You know what I'm saying?
A piece of every single person that's in a spot where they don't want to be anymore, and they're talking to somebody who's in the spot where they want to be, they have to rationalize it to themselves. And so that's them continuing not to let go of the BS they've been telling themselves. Like, well, it's easy for you. I mean, look at you, genetics, and you're a guy. And the amount of women that have told me, well, you're a guy. And I'm like, well, I was chubby in 2nd grade. So
that is true.
I'm like, I'm like, you know, if you want to see my kids' pics, I'm just telling you, I never got the genetics card when it comes to being thin. I can promise. So when people shortchange your goals, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I would take that a step further on both these accounts, and that would be relate to them in your head, but talk about what they would experience based on what you're experiencing, so that they not only feel like, oh, he's been there, but oh, he understands. You know, because in reality, no, if I eat a shitload of taquitos, it's not going to be the same. For me, I've been working out since I was 15. You know, I could probably eat and for a month poorly and not work out and be able to bounce back pretty quick. At least that's what they're probably thinking. They're already, you tell them, I eat this, and they're already starting to think like, well, it's different for me.
Yeah,
sure.
Unless you can go in and say like, so when you're doing that, are you usually in a hurry? You know, is that a matter of, do you really enjoy eating them, or is it just like is it something that you get yourself when you're stressed out and like,
what's the root cause?
Yeah. To try and think about, why do I do that?
Yeah.
And to me, it was always, back when you and I used to talk about it, it was comfort in waking up in the morning to know I could stop and get something I look forward to as a part of my habit. I get to stop by QT every morning.
Little reward every day.
Yeah. Just, hey, I woke up at 5. I'm going to go by, make my quick trip, stop. So it was a way to get my day started that was like comfort food, or with kids. Well, you have 3 kids, you find it hard to even make time to watch like your Netflix show at night. Do you even have energy to watch that show when you're done, or you just want to sit and stare, So if someone asking you to take an hour out to actually go do physical things probably seems pretty ridiculous and pretty inconsiderate. And I try to refrain from saying I understand and more try and relate to this is like the feeling that I've had that I think they could be going through, so that they have that moment. Once again, that reckoning with clarity that's going like, yeah,
right.
Yeah, that is what it feels like, and once again, that's another moment. And guys, as I said earlier, you just have to care about people and be honest. Like it's
you're identifying their feelings before they identify it for themselves.
Oh my gosh. And that's,
that's like wait, like you're like, it wasn't my first time thinking of that. I've been thinking about that for a long time, actually.
Okay, one of my favorite stories.
You're kind of their psychiatrist a little bit.
Whole separate podcast could just be on the therapy side of training.
You cannot help it when, once again, if you're seeing someone even an hour a week. I can't tell you the last time I saw my best friend. Well, I can because I miss her, but the last time like you hang out, like you don't have that time to take time away from your family, friends, everything like that. You have to be one of the most important people in their lives because they're one of the most important people in their lives. And then you ask them to do something that they're uncomfortable with during that time. You freaking high? Like, that's madness. Like, and we just expect them to adapt to it, and if you start on a bad foot, and this is one of the other things that bothered me a lot about, like I was talking selling, and bringing someone in and
bait and switch.
Yeah. It's even worse when you just pass them to a random trainer.
Oh yeah.
And now they have a bad taste in their mouth, and now you're expecting this trainer who doesn't know anything about them, to just work with them and get them there and hope that they can make up for it. I've seen it happen, but it's just the whole organization on that front. This is the hottest topic. I'm so sorry to cut you off. Yeah, no, it's all right.
Is there a point to finish there?
No, go for it. I'm rambling.
Okay. Dylan worked for a great company in Woodside where they really care.
Yes.
He then worked at the Westport Foundation where he got to head the training department, which was, 100% based on everything that he's talking about values now wise. There was a time in your life where family mattered more and you needed to work and make more money. And so you went and worked for Genesis.
Yes.
Genesis, I feel like, has a very different approach. And this is not to dog on Genesis.
It's what it is. Once again, I'll be honest,
but I want to hear about the intricacies of the inside of the belly of that beast, because they represent, in my mind, the in-person version of the online stuff that we don't like as a physical, personal manifestation, where it's like, we see them winning. Clearly, they got 400 gyms, but nobody seems to have a good taste in their mouth.
Well, you're coming down to the way the business is operated, and I won't say that Genesis does this, but I would say theoretically, if a company was to pay everybody after they got paid first, you're going to have some obvious clarity on what their values actually are. We pay ourselves. You only get paid if we get paid, right off the bat. If that was the case, you're going, okay, so you're the one that matters, not us. I'm not a contract person either. I think that they're nonsense. If you're delivering a good product, you should, like I said, we built an incredible business at Woodside doing single sessions and just telling people this is what it was going to be. It's a flat rate, no contracts. You quit when I suck, so that alone was a little bit off to me.
Keeps your training department honest there too.
It keeps them honest, keeps them on top of their shit. And it was just such an easier way to organize things. And I can't go to my doctor or my physical therapist and ask them to package something for a better rate. We have to have some self-respect. So right off the bat, you have, and Genesis is what it is. I have nothing poor to say about it. But
for our listeners, what is it?
Genesis, what is Genesis?
Yeah, I'm saying like to me, it was reminiscent of I'm going to sit down with this person, sell them a package, and then I'm going to pass them off.
Yes.
That felt very Genesis to me.
That is Genesis. So,
and I would say corporate gym in general. It's not to truly pick on Genesis at all.
It's a corporate thing. 24 hours did it, and that was a big eye opener to me because
Gold's Gym, so on and so forth.
I had never experienced the corporate level of training before, and it was made very clear to me from the upper management that I worked with that no, this is how Lifetime does. This is how we do it.
Right.
And I'm you would take someone and you look at that and you're like, okay, well, this is our salesman and these are their products as the trainers. And I mean, I have a lot of issues with it based on my own values, but you have to look at a business and go, what's their most valuable thing is selling the product. You know, it's not a matter of valuing the trainer. You know, it's not a matter of valuing the experience. It's a matter of valuing money. You know, how much can we get out of everybody and how many people can we and how little can we pay in order to get that done? And the hardest thing about what we talk about with perception about Genesis is I know some incredible trainers there.
Totally.
You know, and that's the rub for me. It's like I can't talk about
managers and employees.
There's some great the couple of directors they have that are fantastic. And that's my biggest issue with a lot of corporate gyms in general is as they start buying places out, places to work as a trainer to make a good living are becoming less and less. You know, so if you want, and it's a hard job if you're serious about it, but if you go into a place and they're paying you X amount, you only way you're going to really retain is if you give someone a lifestyle that they can live on. And if you're only able to retain people that start, you know, when they're, you know, in their low 20s, you know, you're going to miss out on some talent and some really good leadership. So my experience there, I'm not even going to say it was a bad one. It was just the polar opposite of how I would run a business. And they seem fine with what they're doing. Obviously, as you said, they're winning.
It's working.
It's work because they're buying a lot of things, and you know, they run and they operate it in a way. I'm trying to figure out a line that I can talk to there. The way they operate things makes it easy to do at the lowest cost possible.
Right.
You know, and that works. You know, and the expectations for corporate gyms anymore is so low because through COVID, you had the rare breeds like Matt Carstetter, who is one of my close friends, and I'll always be borderline obsessed with the work that he does and how hard he fought through COVID to still have businesses that are expanding afterwards. But then you had the big corporate gyms, you know, like with money backed up, you know, like Genesis. And once again, luckily, really smart because through COVID, they don't have a lot of expenses.
Right.
Because they don't pay a lot to people, you know, unless they pay for themselves first.
They were the first people to lay everybody off.
But it worked for the business.
Right.
Because it works for the business, and that's what they needed to keep alive. So on the other end of that, you have, at the end of COVID, now everybody wants to sell their shit in all these gyms that aren't thriving, and they're able to come in and say, well, we handled ourselves, and we kept the business not only alive but thriving, and now we're going to come in and we're going to buy all these out. So you buy a ton, and this is really it. You buy way more than you are ready to.
Yeah, quality's going to suffer
because you don't have the workforce. You have not developed the workforce. You don't have the.
And every time they do a takeover, they lose half the staff because people don't.
Or all the staff.
Or all of them. Yeah.
You know, I could talk about leadership and training all day and how much people struggle with that in general. But I've also seen such an incredible. I've seen a matter of training leadership that I was so spoiled rotten to be a part of that when I go into these other places, it's just like, how are you guys doing this? You know, how are you guys allowing this to happen? Like the standard is so low because the standard is, can you sell?
Right.
And this isn't a Genesis thing. This is a corporate fitness thing. Can you sell? And if you can sell, we're going to let you keep going, as opposed to if you give a great product, you won't have to sell. So when I went in there, it was to be a development manager, basically to get gyms and get leadership inside those gyms to do what I did at Woodside and for the foundation, which is no slouch of a project. I put together a team of 12 trainers there, who 8 of them are still training through the middle of COVID in fitness. So can you bring that here? I tried, you know, but that's more of a long-term goal. So if you want to come and you want to have, like, God, you guys have the best community here, you know, with employees. So I look up to you guys a great deal. But you also invest in them. You give them long-term ideas of what they can do, you know, here and moving forward. You pay well enough that they feel respected and appreciated, like they're part of something bigger. In a place like that, and many of these corporate places, it's the only way you're going to be a part of something bigger is if you can give us the result now. It's typical sales. Right. It's just sales, man. And
it's very, it seems like very conditional.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of jobs are like that, don't get me wrong, but that's just not me. You know, if you want me to come in and you want to change the culture of your training team long term, I could have turned that business into something that down the road made a ton of money.
Anything meaningful is going to take time.
You know, and that's the thing. If the only thing that means anything to you And I'm catching myself because I have a lot of frustrations here, because when you see something that could be so great,
right,
that is held back by its own reverence towards what once worked,
right,
it sucks. You know,
yeah, we built our entire business off of that thought.
Yeah.
You think you know, with the way that they do things, I always in my head I'm you know, and this is not just picking on them. This is a lot of businesses that have brought forward old business practices into, you know,
there's a 3-letter supplement store that everybody knows
yeah.
of, for example, that's
you think
stuck in their ways.
that yeah. There would be enough reviews and people getting tired because there's other options to make businesses like that kind of fall away, yet they continue to grow. And so
I think what do you think that attributes to, Kyle? Because that's something that, like, I feel like they're the only business model left truly that I can think of that I pay attention to that has not truly been affected by this.
In my opinion, it's location. It's basically that when you have people typically are wanting to go to gyms that are the closest to them. It has to fit into their life. And when you basically arbitrage a city like that, and you take over all of these gyms where they're all in convenient locations.
And do they have a kids club?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do they have a kids club?
You know.
So I think that is one of the unique things about gyms, that, you know, you can kind of overcome the negatives that are associated with it, as far as, like, you know, cleanliness, or maybe equipment not being put together, you know, all the time, or, you know, the training staff being overly salesy or maybe disconnected. You can kind of overcome that because people are like, yeah, but it is in my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
We were just talking about Planet Fitness.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And that's what Kyle's getting at is, you know, years and years ago, when we were changing our business model, when I first started working at supplement superstores, we just did things very different. And it was not, we did educate still. It was all very good, but we just did not care nearly as much about the customer experience. And so when we made this change, you know, Andy Frisella was, you know, the person, head of everything we did. And Andy's like, guys, the only way we can do things from here on out is by doing it the absolute best, with the best service, with the best intent, because you can't hide in business anymore. If you were doing anything that has short-term validation to it,
it gets put on the internet.
It's going to be put on the internet now. And so, like, now, you know, and there's a whole book called What Would Google Do that we all had to read. Jeff Jarvis, I believe, is the author. And it's about, he had a horrendous experience on an airline, and he wrote a blog about it. And at the time, he was a really, really, really famous blogger, and it genuinely changed the way that this airline did business because of his terrible experience. And he's like, that airline was forced to change how they did things because they could no longer get away with the bullshit that they were doing. And so, you know, cars, you know, like, dude, buying a car is way easier than it used to be, because there's just, if you have a negative experience, I can blow you up on Yelp, on Google, on Twitter, so on and so forth. And so if you have poor business practices, the word gets out and you can tell 2,000 people in a second, versus just telling your friends at the next barbecue or PTA meeting or whatever it may be. So with that being said, it's amazing to me that these corporate gyms still are able to thrive in this environment, because we all, here, be very clear, I am a paying Genesis member. For me, for my girlfriend, because it is the most convenient.
Yep.
It's the closest gym to my house, and they have enough locations to where we can go there on a weekend and use the kids club, and it's the closest to our house.
So when you look at, like, once again, the 24-hour fitness shutdowns and bankruptcy here in Kansas City was a huge opportunity for Genesis and Rodney. And then and he took advantage of it. You know, he did, which is a really smart move, came in, bought them, turned them into Genesis. So immediately, though, right off of a purchase like that, you have a company that's coming out of Wichita. And if you've ever been to their Wichita clubs, they're pretty freaking fantastic.
Grew up going there.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're all
on
pretty
Rock
great.
Road.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to go down there and meet some of them. And I some of those gyms and some of these things that he's putting together are fantastic.
Yeah.
When you come into a place and you're hoping that you're saying, like, all right, we're going to bring in our business, we're going to buy it out, and we're just going to hope everybody stays if we don't change too much. And that's just not going to happen, one. So then you have to find people within your company to replace right off the bat. I think it was 14 plus gyms here in Kansas City. Like, okay, well, how do we find 14 people to manage the trainers, and do X, Y, and Z? And you're going, okay, well, we have to run off of a skeleton crew here, you know, because we don't have the workforce, and we're going to put a lot of amateurs into that position. and then expansion after expansion after expansion. That
sounds like a nightmare knowing what I know about business.
Yeah. But I think they simplify it by making their business more simple. Like what I would want to do if I
it's
want
more
like,
boilerplate.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what we do. This is the systems that we have.
And here's how we operate on the least amount, on the smallest amount of staff and whatever else to make this at least, decent. But you also have, you have ownership who, if you were to post something or put him on notice about a broken urinal, about a place, he would be on that manager's ass that day. He is really passionate about it. It's the fact that it goes up this chain link of people that might be relatively amateur or might just not be as passionate about it. Or once again, if you're not getting paid a salary, those little things are not going to be
don't care
sales.
at that
Yeah,
point.
like
Right.
I'm here to sell stuff. I don't care if the toilet's broken. I'm sorry. I don't get paid off retention.
Yeah.
Right.
So they know how to scale based on needing as little as possible. And that's what I think people feel the most is, one, well, where else are you going to go? Two, if we scale this in a way that requires the least amount of help from an employee standpoint as possible, you're not going to get a very upstanding experience, but you're going to get a gym and you're going to get something that operates. Because as I said, a lot of people there are trying to do the great work. A lot of the employees there really believe in the expansion so that they keep doing, and they offer great vertical mobility for great salespeople.
Right.
But you have to play.
When you incentivize sales to such a high degree where I know it's like, 15th and, the mid-month and then at the end of the month or like closeout date, right?
Yeah, God.
There it is. So it's like your face. Well, dude, it's just that's when you start, and you heavily incentivize how people get paid based on that. You start really getting some questionable behavior from people. And so we've had people like try to cancel their membership and pay the $100 because they used to not be able to cancel, right? Yeah. But then they're like, I can't find the manager. We're going to need a manager to do that. You're going to have to come back because it's the 15th. You're going to have to come back tomorrow. Like you don't really want to cancel today, do you?
Well, I got to come back, or I got to go to this other gym that I originally signed up at. Like make it as hard as you can, and I got to give. And
it's just like, dude, what are we doing here? Like, why you got to make it so difficult for me to just simply move on?
Well, that comes back to contracts. It's like if someone wants to train with me and they change their mind about that money next week, but I've held them to a contract. If your business, and I can only really speak on this mainly on training. Sure. If your training business, it is necessary to put people on temporary contracts to have it to be accountable for money. Your training system sucks. Your trainer should be able to budget out what they want to do based on who they are getting on and have a pretty decent retention rate if they're doing their job and if they're honest from things up front. But when you give someone that contract, you're saying like, well, we're going to build a long-term business off of 3-month contracts. It's like, well, you're going to have a lot of you're going to need a lot of new business walking through the door. You're going to need to be doing a lot of conversions, or you're going to have people that are so darn good that at the end of that 3 months, and that's the key. But they're selling that.
But the amateur is what you're talking about. And so the only way you keep somebody when you have amateurs working is contracts. Yeah. Right. Because the product's not there. And so we're buying you having to go through these growing pains with us.
But man, here's what would be, this is what a lot of this is once again so common in corporate training. But if you looked at these corporate training environments and said, well, this is just once again reverence. This is how things happen. This is we're not going to get over it. Okay, well, actually, I'm going to go in and I'm going to show trainers and develop them in a way where they understand this is what you could do with your long-term business. You're good enough at this. You're focused on building relationships. We've created an environment that people are excited to come to, which is possible. When people say you can't teach people skills, I think that is BS. Mm-hmm. You 100% can if you've ever been through it. Customer service jobs are probably the best ones that I had that made me a good personal trainer, which not a lot of people believe. Mm-hmm. But what made you a good personal trainer? Oh, I did a lot of customer service work. I know how to take care of people. But you teach trainers to do what they do and do it well, to build relationships, to be honest and to be hardworking. You will have a reliable business that will grow. Because when you're turning new members like that, new business, you're never going to grow. Retention is necessary for growth. And it's mind-blowing. Like you'll have these big, this one fires me up. You should never have a month that's like $150,000 and then another one that's like 50. Mm-hmm. You're setting yourself up for you should have a pretty solid baseline for the most part. Just like, well, on average, we're producing about 125 per month, give or take based on who's in and out of town because we very rarely need new client conversions. We're taking care of our clients. Even when somebody is out of town, we're able to, pull that in, or we're able to make a budget out of it. It's just not, you're not even asking the trainers to think ahead. And I know scaling like that sounds hard, but I think we just make it that way because doing the same thing over and over is easy, and it holds those things back. So
this is where it really bothers me at like a core level. And that is just this. We are a local fitness podcast. We are really, 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 we really value community and bringing people together that would like to push other people to progress in a way that makes them feel good about themselves every day. Right. That is something that I feel passionate about. And so then I've gone to many gyms. My first gym I ever went to in Kansas City was World Gym. My second gym was One Life. Well, they're both Genesis now. So,
yeah, I knew that.
Merriam Genesis off Shawnee Mission Parkway was a World Gym. And that was me and Kyle. We walked in there. It was our first gym we ever went to. And dude, that culture there is still pretty good because of how well that
They
gym,
still got the front desk lady?
They do.
Nice.
Lene.
Lene?
I think her name's Lene, maybe.
Yeah. She's sassy.
Very sassy. Gave me some sass recently. I didn't have my key tag on me. She's like, well, here's what you're going to do. And I was like, oh, I'm like, that's a good start. So anyway, like those two gyms were the gyms I went to, and like the community was really strong. And like, dude, I loved my time at One Life, and I really, really loved the people that worked there. And I built a great community with all those people. And dude, I went in there the other day. I went in there on a Saturday morning, or maybe I'm sorry, it was like a Tuesday at 9 a.m. I went in there. And I had to take a video. I took a video walking around because it was empty. There was 14 total people in the entire gym at 9 a.m. in the middle, before Memorial Day weekend, at the most popular downtown gym you could possibly imagine. And I'm like, this place used to be crawling with people. And there was 2 employees working, and the lights were off in the manager offices, all 3 of them, just pure dark, at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday in May. And I'm just like looking around, just like, dude, this place once was so different. And I just looked around and I'm just like, this is why I hate corporate fitness. Like, this is a tangible, palpable example of like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to lift here. This isn't fun. There's no community here. It felt so uncomfortable. That's all I gotta say.
One Life is a corporate.
No doubt.
And my point is that they build a facility, and here's what people like. It was clean. People were friendly.
Yeah.
You have a staff that was paid.
Super low turnover.
Super low turnover. The community was based off of the experience that people got. Once again, bringing it back to the features are important. And I remember it's actually one of my least favorite things that a piece of advice everyone ever told me is that the benefit is all that people care about. And this is from one of my former colleagues there. And I was just sitting there, I'm like, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but that's pretty low budget.
That was also just derived from you and your sales process.
Yeah. Like,
that's all they care about.
The benefit, but I'm going to tell you,
buying. Yeah.
You want the features inside of something is what gives you an experience, and people want to experience something. So imagine that you already have this bad taste in your mouth. So you're already nervous about going to a gym. All right. Then the place that you go and you join makes you feel uncomfortable because of the way they sell you, or because of the way the trainer tries to sell you. And now you have this discomfort with having to see those people in a place that you're already uncomfortable with. And the whole experience is now tainted when you're supposed to go in there feeling like this is a cool place for me to be. I love going there. I love seeing my people. No, you don't, or especially if you're not letting them out of their contracts or anything like that, which I know are pretty standard for gyms, but the way that they handle those things and the amount of frustration you can feel from people who want to be treated with respect is ridiculous. And that's where it comes back to, how do you thrive? If we come back to what you said about like, well, what do you mean by success? If I was going to look at success in the way I do, which is not always fiscal, which is to my own, which hurts me sometimes, it's, do the people feel good, and are they feeling positive and having a good experience where you are, and if that is happening, you're probably profiting more,
right?
Because those generally go hand in hand. When it's only one or the other, you're gonna that facility will lose. So even from a membership standpoint, you look at that and you say like, okay, so we have 20 facilities that are kicking ass, and these other ones are just hitting baseline. It's still worth it to keep those other places open because you're still cutting out competition,
right?
So
and the accessibility variable.
Yeah. So there's no care, like we don't, if it's dirty, whatever. One Life, clean as hell.
Right.
So clean. Staff, friendly. People had been there for years. So you had immediately that friendly feeling when you walked in. And then you had all these people that had belonged there for years who felt respected by the facility itself. And then you expect to come in and offer and basically turn everything around and cheapen it.
And increase the price.
And the thing is, when you make an acquisition like that, people are going to complain no matter what because it's change.
No doubt.
Period.
No doubt.
So when you come in, and this is what's wild about it, because you would think, oh, I could ramble about this. My gosh. If you make an acquisition, people are going to doubt you. They're going to be upset. They're not going to want to change over to the new business unless you bring something above and beyond what the previous business was doing. And there's no effort to do that. So it's like, well, we own this now. Go on about your business. Like, no, you own this, but now you have to up the ante on what was offered here before. Otherwise, you have to do more when you acquire. You have to. You have to bring something better.
And I got to give them credit on this because, like, whenever they took over that World Gym in Merriam, the carpet looked like it was out of a casino from the 70s. It was just like it was.
They did dump a bunch of money into.
They dumped a ton of money.
They didn't Overland. They do in a lot of the facilities. What they just did in Ridgeview is spectacular. What they just did in Overland Park is spectacular.
Ridgeview looks great. So I got to give them credit in the sense of like they do make a massive amount of improvements to some of the clubs. There are certain ones that they mark as like we need to improve this club, and there's ones like One Life that they just threw some purple paint on something, and it's like
I don't even know if they did.
I don't know if they did that. Yeah,
they changed the logos on the weights, so you're going to see some of that, especially when you're acquiring something at such a fast rate. So even take one of those facilities that they've done these amazing things for. You have to be the kind of member that just wants to check in and check out.
Right.
You can't be the kind that's going there, and I know some great trainers that have these little communities of themselves, but no one's ever excited in this region to say they belong to Genesis.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah.
No one's like, man, this is where I love going. It's like, yeah, I belong here. This was available. When someone says they belong to Woodside, they're packed, they feel good.
It comes from the top because the people that work there take a lot of pride in it. People that own it take a lot of pride in it. And it shows in the way that they take care of the club. I think it all pours into it, right? You want to be around a community where people are proud to be a part of that community.
So here's something that Genesis does well, and it's very general. When I think about all these local businesses that we have, these gyms that I love, each one of them stands for a little bit of something, and you can feel that. And when you stand for something, it is much harder to scale on a large level.
Totally.
When you just stand for, we have gym equipment here and some people checking you in, you're like, okay, well, it doesn't really matter what we stand for because all we stand for is that you have a place to exercise.
Yeah, there's no culture.
There's no culture. We're not looking for a culture. We're just giving people a place to come in here. And once again, with 60 plus facilities, it's probably not like that everywhere at all.
Oh, but, totally. There's some great spots. Like I said,
so,
I think that the Merriam one, for example, I think still has a phenomenal culture because the people that have been working out there have been working out there for years and years and years, and they all know each other. Everybody knows each other by name, and it's still great culture. I just don't think it's driven from the top down.
No, and that was already, that was lucky enough to stay there. When you go into like for example, you have an experience and a stance at a flex. You have the same thing at the foundation. You have these boutique gyms like your city gym down in Waldo that has definitely a platform that they stand on. You have.
We got Element Fitness. We've got the Body Shop. Mm-hmm. There's so many that we can name off.
Barbell Club. I mean, once again, they all have conviction, and that's where I think when I consider, like right now, while Matt Carstar's been finishing the foundation of Olathe because I'll have childcare, I'm super excited about, and it's my favorite gym I've ever been to. I even down at Chiefs Fit, which to its defense. You go down there and you don't want to have a community with anybody, that is a cool place to work out. If you just want to put your hat real low, because sometimes I don't go to Flex just because I don't want to talk to people.
Right.
Or some of these more local places because there is community there.
Totally.
So
sometimes you should not get in and get it out.
Yeah, I just want to get in and get out. And that, so when I say like those places do that fine. They develop it, but the local businesses, and especially with people like us who love fitness and who love the culture, you can actually find a facility and people that work there that are your people.
Right.
Like there's
you can find your tribe very easily.
And
fitness here.
Well, heck, even like we were talking about social media earlier, you can find our people so much easier these days. You don't have to go to a Genesis, unless you want the convenience of it. So Jeff, your community of convenience is just a bunch of people there to be convenient. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you go out of your way. I saw you at the foundation for that thing, and it's like, everybody knows you there too. You're a man about town here. So where those communities are. You support all of them. And Genesis, Chiefs Fit, Lifetime, those are communities of people that just want to check in and check out and have convenience. And that's fine.
Yeah, it supports their lifestyle, and that's totally fine. Yeah.
I think when we talk about it, we talk about such a, from such a passionate level because we're passionate about this. You know, the general audiences are fine with Genesis and Lifetime and whatever else because
they just don't think too much.
They don't think as much about
it.
Like,
I just how many more people, and this is something that we can never measure, and it's just my own personal belief, and there's no facts to back this. I don't think, but it's if you have, like I said, the community that we're talking about and the culture and people that want to be there. How many of these people that were buying hope in the beginning stick with it? Versus when they are a part of they feel like a number or they're a part of the system. And
so you're going to get me fired up again.
And the procedures. And so you're not going to see as many people, like you were saying, it's just like someone got thrown to a trainer that didn't care. Or maybe they were just unfortunate for everybody. They were just, they needed some experience, they needed some reps. And, they burned this client. And so that client, we don't get to see them. And so we don't get to bring them into our community because their experience with fitness was very negative. And so it might take them a decade to decide, I want to try something again. And so that's what I feel about it.
That is the bummer about it is like, some of these people, if they have the bad experience at like a place like that, it's not that they go to another gym. They're just done with fitness.
No, that's true.
They're jaded. Yeah. And we deal with this with our competitors, right? When someone comes into our store, they have a wall 10 foot high because they got burned by a different store that oversold them a bunch of products they didn't need. And so now I don't have their trust right off the bat. I have to build that over time.
Man, I've thought about exactly what you guys are talking about so many times because you're right. This is the experience I had here, or I had an experience with a trainer before, or I once belonged to a gym or whatever else. So I don't go to corporate gym, or I don't go to gyms, period. And then you have our local gyms, that are great places with great people who really care. They're also going to be the least approachable for someone who's just getting into it because they do have conviction and the people that are really passionate about it are there. So there's a misconception about where their best environment is. You can be a number or you can be a person that has a community that's going to support you and not judge you for being a part of it and probably actually celebrate you more.
But the level of intensity you're talking to them might scare them off.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have, I go here and it didn't get me where I wanted to go. It didn't feel good. And then they never go back in. I also think that's the answer that some people just want to have.
Right.
Just like when we think about,
we talked about the buying hope thing earlier, and that's for sure. There's just a market of people that need to buy hope a couple times before they're going to take themselves serious because they have to make sure that they know for a fact that there really truly isn't a magic pill or a magic example.
People also just don't want to feel dumb. So they buy hope because they're like, yeah, we'll just try it out, and they don't put it out there for people to know because they don't want to look,
they knew they took the path of least resistance. Yeah. And so they're like, I'm just going to see for myself that this is not what it is, before they make the decision to actually try what, because here's like the last thing I'll say on this, because we are now officially ranting for too long. But it's like, you talk to the most incredibly in shape people who've been lifting for years and you ask them what they eat and it's going to be the most boring shit.
That's not true.
Oh, you get my point. I'm saying that like the people who have done it for years and years and years, they're following a diet. It's like the diet they're eating is not going to surprise you. It's going to be like, yeah, I measure this. I eat 6 ounces of lean protein and a fist-sized portion of carbs or 2 fist-sized portions of carbs, whatever.
I ate a box of Gushers before I came here.
I'm with you.
That's no
the longer you train, the more leniency you have with your diet. And also the harder you train.
I don't disagree with any of what you're saying, Kyle, or Dylan.
I just want to talk about the Gushers. I'm not saying you're wrong or right.
Gushers, let's be honest. Gushers that's pretty good, dude. Like that's a forgotten fruit snack.
You could have
right
started
there.
with that.
It's in my pantry. I'm just saying.
Gosh. Next time I'll bring some.
Oh shit, dude!
I'm more of like a chocolate guy. I'm more of an M&M guy than a Gusher guy. But
Jeff, sorry for hijacking your statement. Go on.
That's it. No, I was just saying.
Jeff actually would love to get in this conversation more.
I mean, Kyle already ruined it. It's like, yeah, there's an asterisk to this, you fuck. But when it of course, yes, the more leniency you have. But point I'm saying is that like when someone says like, how did you get here? It's like they didn't do the Mediterranean diet, then decided to do Atkins, then decided to. No one is saying that. That's like no one's trying to look like Jared from Subway. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God. No.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Don't bring him.
God no.
You know my point?
Yeah, that's
certainly not
brutal.
in prison.
Yeah, but, I'm hearing you though.
But all it's saying is that when people are following these plans, it's like the people have the physique that looks like they want. that person usually worked really hard for that physique, and it was not because of doing a bunch of different hoaxes. It was all just doing exactly the most boring plan that they've heard of, which is like, yeah, you had to eat lean protein, count your macros, et cetera, and be consistent as shit with it.
I had some young guys come up to me at Flex the last time I was working out there, and it's always a great compliment when some young man comes up and says, and it's genuine, because there's that typical gym bro compliment, just trying to get like you, bro.
Right.
It was not that. It was a genuine interest in how to do something. And I said, I have probably just been doing the same thing you're doing now for 14 years or more. I've been consistent. I've never been, I've fallen off, tried different things, but I've been into I've been into fitness and lifting weights since I was a teenager, and I've been doing the same shit, and beyond, another thing that I want to say before I forget it is, you mentioned earlier about people not wanting to be done. Trainers are the worst at that, to where they're afraid that they're going to be seen for who they truly are based on the fact that they don't know something. So they duck out of things, or they won't take advice, or they won't listen unless they truly respect you and feel respected by you. And I think that members of gyms and potential clients are the same way. I truly believe that embracing ignorance is one of the most powerful things that you can do as a person, and understanding it's okay that I don't know, because I'm never going to know if I don't embrace the fact that I am ignorant on these things or on this topic. Or
humility.
Humility, yeah. I like to use the word ignorance on it because it's a word that everyone hates.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm not ignorant. It's like, it's okay. Like that's not what that word does not mean. You're stupid. It means that you don't know, and it's okay not to know. Like, no one's ever really a master at personal training. There's so much information out there, right? When you get the body down, you have to go and you have to, like, after you get muscles and anatomy, you got to go learn about physics. When you learn about physics, you have to learn about the nervous system and all of this stuff. So it's like, then you have to learn about nutrition. Like, mastering everything is a ridiculous idea. And to think that I could go and I could fix a car, I'm not a mechanic. I'm super ignorant about that, but for some reason, because we have our bodies, we're ashamed to be ignorant about how it works.
Right.
Or we want to be like, I know what's going on with me. Oh, like, you do, huh? Well, then I'll see you later. Let me save you a lot of time and money. Just go do that, because I'm not going to be your cheerleader. I'm not going to do this, and this. You can find a lot of other ways to find accountability.
Right.
Ignorance, I think, is it is such a powerful tool for progression. I mean, we train our bodies that way when we do a new exercise or we add a new weight. You go, I went up to 315 on my squat, and my body doesn't know the difference between, to my body, that's a brand new exercise, even if I've been squatting my whole life. As soon as I add a new weight on that, it's going like, we don't know this, and everything can fall apart. But it's learning those things that progress you forward, both physically and mentally. And the body's, man, mentally, that's, once again, we're, ignorance. The mind is the most powerful thing, because our bodies are not strong. We are 80% water. We are very penetrable. We are not as tough as we think. Our mind is. So embracing our weaknesses of the mind is what's going to strengthen us as a whole.
I got a really random question now.
Yeah.
What's the last book you read?
Ooh, shoot. What was the last book I read? It's been a while, Jeff. It's been a while. It's been a minute.
Saying you're a well-read guy.
No, I'm not a well-read guy. The last book I read was called The Man Manual.
I was going to say, it could be a cop and answer. You could just be like,
I'm being totally honest with you.
A children's book last night to my 3.5-year-old.
My mother-in-law bought me a book called The Man Manual.
Do you feel like more of a man?
Yes, of course.
You're like, dude, I feel
Would you recommend The Man
It's
Manual to all of us?
Only if you're super Catholic.
Okay.
Otherwise, avoid it like the plague.
Really?
It's not for you. But that's something her and I should. But that was the last book I read, and it's both concerning and inspiring at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know about that one.
We have one more question to answer. You got anything else from Kyle?
No.
Okay. Well, we usually ask every single person on the Protein Bros podcast if they had to pick one place in Kansas City to get barbecue, and you only get one. What's your go-to spot?
Barbecue.
And I was gonna say you can switch to it like your favorite treat meal or whatever you want to use here. But I would say barbecue, because it is cool that just recently, I don't know if you guys saw, but Jason Sudeikis was just on Hot Ones, and he gave his professional opinion on the KC barbecue tour on where he would go. So it was cool that he actually got our question.
What did he say?
He had a great answer because he paid respect to everybody by being like,
Let me give mine first.
No,
Just
please.
because I don't want to copy Jason.
Yeah,
No, yeah, for
good
sure.
call.
Arthur Bryant's.
Okay.
Oh, Arthur
Bryant's.
Bryant's.
Yeah.
It's a rare call. Luke's
Yeah.
giving him some love. You're not allowed to make noise over there, Luke. Stop.
Shut up, Luke.
Shut up, Luke. Arthur Bryant's is,
Go back in your
is a
cage.
respectable answer from somebody who appreciates history.
Yeah, that's where that.
Maybe not flavor.
It says more about you than I like barbecue.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a deeper statement.
It's almost like when I hear somebody say that, they're like, "I love Kansas City."
yeah,
really.
that's what I. That's
you know?
because I thought about it, and that's
It's the equivalent of saying, well, who's your favorite NBA player of all time? And someone being like, Michael Jordan. And you're like, no, all right. Can't really argue with you, but
well, Arthur Bryant's isn't Michael Jordan. That's extra. Michael Jordan's amazing.
well, Arthur
And
Bryant's, is it?
Arthur Bryant's is amazing, but I mean, I feel
Is
like
it not the Michael Jordan
I feel like
of barbecue?
I feel like Casey Joe's would be the Michael Jordan.
Why is that, you think?
Well, because Arthur Bryant's is Scottie Pippen.
How is it?
It's underappreciated, underpaid, and doesn't get the recognition that it deserves.
see, I would argue because I'm not from here, and it was like the first place I'd heard of.
Really?
Swear to God. Arthur Bryant's in Gates.
Joe's is like the one that, because I grew up in Wichita,
Yeah.
and like if you're from Wichita, you hear about Kansas City barbecue, and it's always Joe's.
See, I heard of Joe's as well because of the gas station aspect, where it's like, it's got to taste better. It's from a gas station.
Yeah, I like
right?
had cheeseburgers like that.
But I would say that Arthur Bryant's, I was told, is like the original KC barbecue. And so that's why
It is
heard
the
of
original.
And I tried it, and I went to like the one that is downtown.
Yeah, off of 18th and Vine.
Yeah, and it was like pretty good. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't personally blown away, and I should probably give it another chance. I probably only had it once.
Well, it's totally different than. Here's the other thing that's cool about saying Arthur Bryant's. It's not a traditional barbecue taste. It's vinegary. So
It is. They do Carolina style.
it's not ketchup based.
Yeah,
Or whatever. Like
Okay.
it's vinegar based. So you're also claiming a more sophisticated barbecue palate.
Hey, Julian Marquez was the other guy that said Arthur Bryant's, by
Yeah.
the way, and he was dead serious. And he was like, "Well, are we talking barbecue? Are we talking barbecue sauce?" Because he got really passionate there, and he's like, "The meat is totally separate from the flavor of the meat."
No, I agree
is
with
separate
that.
From the sauce
But I'm
on it.
I just combine them both.
Same.
You know, so it's just like you have to have both to offer. However, I also believe that barbecue is a delivery method for sauce.
Sure.
Much like pasta is like, who cares until you put sauce on it.
Right.
So,
So you
that's
got-
valid.
So you got Jason Sudeikis was on his tour. I think I'm probably going to quote some of these wrong, but he went around, and what made him unique is that he mentioned, I think he said, like, you know, I'd get ribs from, you know, Casey Joe's. I'd get brisket from Q39. I'd get burnt ends from Gates, was what I think he said.
wow.
And I was like, what? But he threw Gates, Arthur Bryant's, Q39, and he had one more.
Maybe he was just making stuff up.
Man, I'm
Gates
like,
is my least.
But I think he actually might have said sauce and yeah, he said sides. He said all the like, that's an amazing shirt.
yeah.
Yeah, Joe Arthur Gate Stack is his favorite barbecue. So he did mention all four, I think. So he did mention Jack Stack for sides, for all the sides. But anywho, that was
Jack
it, man.
Stack sides are
I
unbelievable.
think Jack Stack in general is really good.
They just
It is.
they kill it on the experience
well,
too.
and yeah, the experience there is good. I can't stand the Gates barbecue experience. I get super nervous.
Bro.
How may I help
We
you?
talk about it all the
Like,
time.
Whoa, okay. Like, yeah,
What do
you
you
can,
want?
but give me a minute. I'm like,
That was my first Kansas City barbecue experience. Is like you walk in there, what do you want? And you're like,
Hurry up!
hurry up.
I'm like, what is happening?
this is not the Midwest
Yeah.
nice that I was looking forward to.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I
I
don't-
I was eating Gates barbecue sauce as a kid, though.
Yeah, me too. We would. My dad would ship it.
Yeah, you know what's and it was just available at our grocery store. But this is something I thought about. Swear to God, yeah. What's crazy is the last thing I'll say on this barbecue thing that we talk about all the time. What happened? Why is it that? And since I've moved to Kansas City, I have not eaten one thing of Casey Masterpiece barbecue sauce.
What is?
But as a
Casey
kid,
Masterpiece?
it was like the most popular barbecue sauce in the country.
I actually think Casey Masterpiece
Is it gone?
did not like it tastes
Look it up.
just like Sweet Baby Ray's.
It's amazing. Yeah, dude, it tastes
It's just
awesome.
sugar. It's just good.
But I'm telling you,
Is
dude,
Casey a name or is it the location? 'Cause I
dude,
don't
listen,
think-
Casey Masterpiece was like made
Oh,
by
it's in
Kraft.
City right there.
yeah,
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 man.
yeah. That's it's like ketchup.
It was
basically.
literally the most popular barbecue
So
sauce.
here's
like,
what's
in the
cool
country.
as heck about this though is that is nationally recognizing
Kansas
what
City.
the best barbecue sauce is in the country. Otherwise, it'd be, Texas masterpiece or Memphis masterpiece. But that is a statement right there that says if we're going to represent the best and lie about it, we're going to say we're from KC.
For sure. I just don't understand.
There is some cool recognition.
I don't know if I've ever even seen a bottle at the store. I'm so mind blown that like no one's ever used KC Masterpiece now that I live in
You
Kansas
can
City.
walk into any grocery store
can you
ever,
imagine, like,
and it's in there.
Can you imagine?
But no one's
going to a
had
party
it.
in Kansas City and someone has like KC Masterpiece out there.
You're just like, what are you doing?
It's our home brand. It's our local KC Masterpiece.
Go down, Luke, to that one.
The
that's
real
got
deal.
variety.
It says it right there.
Go down. What's that guy? What's this guy? All the different types. They got bourbon.
I like a Sweet Baby Ray's.
I love a Sweet Baby Ray's. Dude, look at this though. Tangy habanero honey. Get out of here. I'd buy that tomorrow. Those are all my adjectives I like.
Lord knows you would.
Those are my buzzwords. I didn't know. I mean, dude, look at this. Look at this kettle cooked. Look at this gentleman. Look at him from the Wild West. Coming up with that kettle cooked barbecue sauce. What's not to love?
I don't know.
Thick and rich.
Is it good?
Like Hannah likes her men.
Thick and rich.
That's
Oh my!
It's just hilarious, dude.
Thick
No
and
one's
rich
ever bought
sounds
it.
like a country country
artist?
band. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's probably a great cover band.
I like
right
that
now.
the Arthur Bryant's is being sold mostly at the Ace Hardware.
Yeah.
That might be why. It might be because I'm able to go and get lumber and things for my house, and then it's Arthur Bryant's. I'm taking this home with me. They know who they're selling to.
All right. On a real note, Dylan, dude, it was such an awesome time sitting down with you. It's great to get to know you better.
Yeah.
And appreciate all that you shared.
You want to get
awesome episode.
Yeah, send out your handle. So on Instagram, tell people where
for
you
the people that have found joy. Tell them where they can find you.
I will. Thank you guys very much for having me. This was a great time, and I'll come back sometime.
Yeah,
Look forward
for
to it.
sure.
You want to have an option? I'll just walk in here at 2 p.m. on a Thursday.
Yeah.
See who you're
Can't be
talking
giving away
to.
can't be giving away record time,
Come
bro.
on, man. Come on.
Sorry, I didn't know.
No. Where can they find you?
At Crown City Trainer on Instagram.
You on the TikToks yet?
I tried, but it was. Who was I talking about the trend thing with?
Not me.
That was me.
You weren't here?
Yeah.
So I couldn't.
Trends
stand-
all over the TikToks.
And it got to me so bad that I just couldn't deal with it anymore.
You gonna
It
take
was-
the steal a Hyundai challenge?
What's that?
That's on TikTok. They
Steal a
teach you-
Hyundai?
There was a way for people to steal Kias and Hyundais. It became a mass thing. Over 1,000 car thefts in St. Louis alone off of this TikTok trend of a challenge of like how to like hotwire a Kia or a Hyundai. And they legitimately, my sister's car was stolen twice.
Hyundai Elantra?
I mean, I don't know what years they were, but it was a certain year to a certain year. You could just easily steal a Hyundai or a Kia to the point where Hyundai and Kia
I think
had to
that's
provide
on YouTube.
like what are they called? Like the club. They're giving away the club in Kansas City for anybody who owns a Kia or a Hyundai. Just giving it away.
What
Just
is
come get it.
happening? Like,
Yeah, thank you,
let's
TikTok.
get and like what we were talking about when I came in was, or when you right before you came in was somehow the most like you see all these posts on there. It's just like trend this, trend that, trend this, trend that, and it's like that'd be like a rapper back in the day just being like heroin. Period.
Yeah.
There's no entry level. It's all the hardest thing you can possibly find.
Here we go.
Yeah,
That's
is
a club
little
picture from the
like,
Kansas City Police Department.
That's nice. That's
It says
nice.
starting today, we have free steering wheel locks for Kia and Hyundai owners.
So on that note, I want to finish this statement. Kids, don't do trend. I don't care how much these guys on Instagram are telling you that it's like the cool thing and you have the guys that are going in on trend together.
Oh,
Do not do it.
yikes.
Do not
Trend?
do it. Trend is not okay. It's toxic. And unless you are a bodybuilder who is like a true competing bodybuilder, you have no need for it. Just stop. And don't. Just
chill out and lift
It
some
is
weights.
it's
You don't
poison.
need the trend.
It's poison. And I just don't.
Yeah.
The TikTok guys, even if they look good, man, especially, oh God, just stop.
Jeff, stay away from the trend. Luke,
I'll do my
Luke,
best.
Luke.
No, Luke looks ripe. He's ready. I basically I think you'd be fine with it. Yeah.
Well, man, once again, we appreciate you.
Thanks, buddy,
We're
for
signing
coming
off.
on, man.
See y'all next week.
See you guys.